Good evening, everyone. It is Saturday evening, and I am here to bring you another episode of If You Smell What the Arch is Cooking. I am Archie Mitchell, your host. It is good to be back once again, but actually, I'm not alone though. I'm good. It's good to be back, but I'm not alone for the first time ever. I've got a co-host, ladies and gentlemen, and as you know, I usually do this as Nate and Aaron like to say, Joey style, by going completely solo, and they'll usually jump in when they can. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my co-host for this evening, Mark Brew. Mark, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me, Archie.
Oh, no problem, guys. If you don't know Mark, he is my brother from another mother. He is a customizer, a great customizer, a great friend, and he is involved in all the Facebook groups such as the We Can't Wrestle podcast, the Asylum, World Championship Customs. So it's great to have you on the show here tonight, Mark. And Mark, tell the people listening at home what you're going to be doing this evening on If You Smell What the Arch is Cooking.
Yes, I'll be giving the breakdown on Raw and SmackDown, and basically giving some contrast on NXT and AEW, and I hope you do the same for Raw and SmackDown.
I will be. I've heard from a lot of the fans that watch and our listeners that they would like to hear what I think about Raw and SmackDown. And I've got to be honest with you guys. If I sit through Raw and SmackDown and then tell you what I think, just me, it's going to be like Jim Cornette on crack. Uh, so I figured let Mark come in, let him give his point of view, and then I can give a counterpoint. And likewise, like he said, when I'm doing AEW and Dynamite, and NXT, he could give his point of view as well. Because sometimes I sound like a gushing fanboy who just loves everything NXT and AEW, where Mark might let me know where something might have been a piece of crap, you know. So, but before we get into
Yeah,
any of
great.
that, before we get into any of that, I got a lot of messages from everybody who heard me say last week that the reason that the frosty beverage has not been being used the last few weeks is because of a health reason. People checked on me, such as Mark, such as Nathan Roberts, and a lot of other great fans and friends that I have on Facebook. I want to thank you guys. Number one, heard back from my doctor just a couple days ago. Everything came back normal. Nothing wrong. I need a diet, obviously. We all do after COVID and everything like that. But doctor told me, hey, listen, if you're having one or even a couple every now and then, it's no big deal. So, ladies and gentlemen, crack them open with me. The frosty beverage is back here on If You Smell What the Arch is Cooking. So, Mark, we have some quick hits here tonight. And our first one kind of pissed me off a little. I'm wondering if you're going to feel the same way or maybe have a different contrast in this. Stephanie McMahon said in a recent interview that AEW is to blame for all of WWE's recent roster cuts, mainly because AEW is making WWE's locker room look like a toxic environment, and AEW is so welcoming for all these guys. I find that to be a piece of shit when you're looking for an excuse. The WWE locker room has been toxic long before AEW came around. And for Stephanie to say that it's Tony Khan and AEW's fault, I don't find that right. They're cutting people because Nick Khan is trying to make budget cuts and possibly load them up for a sale, in my opinion. But what do you think?
Well, I mean, I've obviously been a WWE fan back since the '90s, the WWF days, and not really been a big fan of Stephanie, but to me, it just sounds like they're finger pointing, trying to blame somebody else for their shortcomings.
Right.
Which, in all reality, they just need to step up to the plate and say, "Yes, we messed up." Now, I mean, but they don't have to cut all this good talent that they're
Right.
releasing. Like they made a build on Bronson Reed and then just let him win the NXT title, North American title, and then completely just dropped him.
A month later, he's gone.
Right.
It
And
makes
it's like if they utilize their talent better,
Right.
people would want to stay. They wouldn't be looking for that extra hour.
And also when you look at the big picture, WWE began signing a lot of indie talent, hoping to keep them away from Ring of Honor, Impact, and MLW. So they signed all these guys without any promises of you're going to be a star. We'll just keep you around or whatever. Some of these guys did become stars. Adam Cole, Bronson Reed, Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt. And now it's like, you know what, kid? Yeah, we ain't got no more room for you. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, and they could be staring at the next big thing, and they release it, and then AEW capitalizes on it, and they're going to be sitting there with their thumb in their mouth, sucking their thumb, thinking, man, we dropped the ball.
Right. Exactly. Kind of the way WCW did with guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Correct.
So, in my opinion, Stephanie is wrong for blaming anybody than themselves. Is AEW welcoming these wrestlers with open arms? Yes, but it's not AEW's fault that these guys want to go and have a fun place to go and work. Because let's face it, when you got a job where it's crap to go to work, you don't want to be there as long as you have to be. You only want to be there as long as you're getting paid. So.
Well, I mean, too, that comes from the fact that WWE controls the gimmicks, and they control the promos, and they give you the script, and they're like, here, do this, instead of go out there, be yourself, and make our product as good as you can.
Exactly.
And that should be what's on the forefront, other than creating content and stuff like that, as far as in their image, because let's be real. What worked in the 90s is not going to work now.
Oh, no, exactly. And asking guys to sign over their real names is not going to work either, because nobody's going to want to leave the WWE eventually, whether they get injured, whether they want to retire, whatever, and come to find out, oh, guess what? I'm no longer Shane Douglas. I got to be, whatever, Martin Douglas, because Vince owns my name, So.
I mean, in a way, this is my whole philosophy on that whole situation. Really, they should sweep their own doorsteps before they go to pointing a finger at somebody else, because at the end of the day, it's really nobody's fault but theirs.
I agree 100%. Well put. Very well put. Next up, The Undertaker was asked about wrestling at WrestleMania 38, and he gave the standard answer of never say never, brother. And look, I love The Undertaker. Mark, you know how big of an Undertaker mark I am. And I would love to see him come back. But if we're going to get The Undertaker like we got in that Goldberg match at Saudi Arabia, and like we got, where we've gotten the last couple of years, that's not The Undertaker. That's Mark Calloway. He's not been The Undertaker for the last few years. So I'd rather just say never and let him make appearances, but not have to wrestle.
Well, my opinion on this is, if they could do it in the realm of things and make it make sense, it would be good for business. But they would have to put him in there with a talent that, could protect him and make him still look like that.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't make no sense to put him up against somebody who's green and who's gonna, have him look like trash. I mean, I understand Goldberg was a ring vet and he still dropped him on his freaking head. But I mean, if you have a talent of that stature that can work with these veterans and keep them safe, and still, I know kayfabe, they say is dead and all that, but I mean, keep everything to make sense in the realm of things.
Well, I mean, you look at a guy like AJ Styles. I wasn't a huge fan of the Boneyard match because of obviously it was a cinematic match, but the entire storyline leading up to that, The Undertaker and him were gold together. And, AJ is a ring veteran, so you put him in there with somebody like AJ, whether it be a cinematic match or a real match, I think AJ can take care of him, can actually make sure he doesn't get hurt and put on an actually great match. And
also AJ Styles is he cuts a damn good promo.
Right.
I mean, love him or hate him, there's no denying that.
Oh,
he
yeah.
has mic skills and he has in-ring talent. Do I like this whole thing with him and almost? Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah. Hey, almost isn't bad, but I just don't think he needs to be with AJ. You know.
In the sense of things, he kind of reminds me of a colleague. He has the size, he has the look, but big guys are only limited in the amount of moves that they can do.
Right.
And look good doing.
Right.
So, he stands leaps and bounds above the rest of the roster.
Definitely. And our final quick hit of the evening. Charlotte Flair is not being punished for her recent backstage altercation with Becky Lynch. For those that don't know, during the whole title trading situation on SmackDown a few weeks ago, Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch got into a war of the words backstage. Charlotte then threw the belt at Becky, threw the belt away in the middle of the ring. Becky then threw her belt at Charlotte. When they came backstage, they almost got into a fight. Other women got involved and actually were pointing the finger at Charlotte. The reason being that there is no punishment coming down on her is they're afraid that she will either ask for her release or they will end up firing her. And then they're handing a huge star again to AEW. Mark, I'll be honest, I don't. Yeah,
they can't afford to.
Right. I don't mind them not punishing her because let's face it, that title switch, that whole hey, you guys are going to trade titles tonight. That's bullshit anyway, and I think Charlotte may have been pissed about it anyway. She asked if she could drop the title to Bianca Belair before all that happened, and WWE was like, "No, we need you." So, hey, this is what you wanted. Well, look what you're getting now. You know,
it costs to be the queen,
I reckon. Right. Look, if you're not gonna punish Becky as well, because Becky threw the belt at her too, and them getting into it. If you're not gonna punish, multiple members of the roster, you can't just punish one. You know what I mean? Because again, she'll bitch up and she'll say, "Hey, I'm out of here," and her boyfriend / fiance is in AEW and her daddy's in the NWA. I wouldn't mind seeing her in either one of those.
Anything could be better with her always holding the title in WWE.
Right.
It would be a breath of fresh air to see her hold, another title or, somebody constantly getting the better of her just to, kind of humble it.
Oh, and even a switch of her fighting, who she's going to fight. It seems like she's always feuding with Becky or Sasha in some form. So right. Here, if she were to go to another company, or at least if they would allow her to not have the belt constantly, she could be feuding with a Shotzi. She could be feuding with a Bianca without the title being involved. They just have her constantly there with Becky. Like, for instance, Survivor Series this year, it's Becky versus Charlotte. And I understand they're two of the best on the roster. They're two of the best on the roster, but come on now. We're going on 5 years of Becky versus Charlotte.
Right. Yeah, at some point they have to realize you're kicking a dead dog, proverbially speaking.
Yeah. They did that with Cena and Orton. Every time that it got tough, we're gonna feud Cena and Orton again, and that was a great feud when it first started. But you can't keep using the same two wrestlers just because it worked once upon a time.
Right, it's like the people don't want to see Drew versus Brock anymore. Because they ran that into the ground.
Right. So, well, that's gonna do it for us with quick hits. And I will now turn the reins over to Mr. Mark Brew to give us his in-depth look at Monday Night Raw. Mark, go right ahead. Let us know what went down on Monday Night Raw, and I will chime in when I can and let you know what I liked and what I disliked.
Okay, we opened up Monday Night Raw with a backstage segment with Big E and Kevin Owens. Owens was pleading that the week before wasn't what it seemed, and Big E tells him he has a match tonight, he doesn't care. That's followed by Seth Rollins' music playing and him making his way to the ring to cut a promo. He claims that he's the next WWE champion and will lead Raw into a glorious victory at Survivor Series. Then he alleges that Kevin Owens is a snake and a liar and that he will stab you in the back every chance he gets. Owens interrupts Rollins and they get into a brawl where Rollins skates away and Owens is left by himself in the ring with the fans cheering. Which, everybody wants to see Owens get over on Rollins because, let's be real, they're kind of overdoing the Rollins stuff.
Well, yes, Seth Rollins is by far one of the most pushed talents again, and that's not his fault. He's one of the best on the roster again, but his wardrobe is beginning to become really, really ridiculous. I like the Big E versus Kevin Owens storyline though, and I think that
Yeah,
them trying to make Kevin Owens act like, look, I'm not a bad guy anymore, and I don't want to be a bad guy, but you're pushing me towards it. By all means, yeah, I'll watch that Kevin Owens. You know,
right, and that's gonna make people want to see, the old school fight Owen fight,
right?
and that can't be a bad thing because I mean it's over. It's over for the fans.
It's over. The fans love Kevin Owens no matter what he's doing, feel or face or heel. And the guy's got a contract coming up in a couple of months, so I think maybe letting him write his own ticket as far as his character goes right now would not be a bad move because you want him happy to come to contract time.
I agree.
You know.
But next up, we have a backstage segment with RK Bro and Orton tries to talk some sense into Riddle, which after one or two of those wacky tobackies, that might be hard to do. He tries to talk to him about going around picking fights with giants. Orton tells them that they don't care about the Street Profits who are right behind him. And he tells the Street Profits that they have a vendetta with Almost, that they're on their own. RK Bros music plays, and they head to the ring for an 8-man tag that pits RK Bro and the Street Profits versus the Dirty Dog and Archie Mitchell's favorite action figure, AJ Styles.
Yes.
And his Colossus Almost.
Now,
Rude and Montez Ford kick things off, almost chokeslams Riddle and goes to tagging Styles. Ziggler tags his hand first, and then while the rest of the team bickers back and forth, Ziggler pins Riddle for the 3rd count.
Right
Ziggler
now,
celebrates. Orton hits him with the RKO out of nowhere, and it's a decent opener for Raw. I give it a 3 out of 5 simply because the Street Profits, Orton and Riddle all displayed tenacity throughout the match, and that is what you want to see out of them.
and I will agree with you. I like the dynamic of the Orton and Riddle tag team, even though we kind of know where it's going to end up, with an RKO and those two feuding down the line. But I like Matt Riddle. I have no issue with him, and I think he's a great up and coming star. Street Profits, I'm good with as well. Honestly, I think the Street Profits are getting the push that Crime Time should have got way back when.
Correct.
When you look at them. I do, however, have a problem with Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler because they shouldn't be known as the Dirty Dogs. They should be known as the It Should Have Been Me crew. Because it's all they're always doing is bitching that they're not getting an opportunity, even though we've seen them go after both sets of tag team titles in the last 5 months about 20 times.
I agree, and that's Dolph is another one that's been pushed to the moon back.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. I like AJ and Omos, like I said. I think he needs a heavy someone there as his bodyguard. But I don't know. I'd like it to be switched. The guy that's with Apollo Crews, his commander, I wouldn't have minded him going with AJ Styles and putting Omos. Yeah. And putting Omos with Apollo Crews because it almost makes more sense. You know what I mean? But
I agree.
But Omos is doing his job. He's a giant. You know what I mean? He's in the history of Diesel with Shawn Michaels and the Giant with Hulk Hogan and things like that. You have that big giant to watch your back, and it's working for the most part on my in my opinion.
I agree. I mean, I'm not saying I absolutely hate it. I'm just saying there should be more dynamic.
I'd like to hear him talk more. I'd like to hear Omos talk a little more, but I guess they're trying to build that Andre the Giant mystique around him. Try, speak softly and carry a big stick. I don't know.
All right. Well, next we have backstage Rey Mysterio and Dominic. They're talking about Owen. Oh, as they're talking, Owen comes into the frame and pleads with Rey to believe him about what last week appeared to be Dominic Dominic and Ray make their way to the ring. Coming back from commercial, Ortiz was becoming a Veer Mahan. Then Adam Pearce is in the ring with Dominic and Ray and announces that in order for Dominic to stay on the Survivor Series team, he must defeat Bobby Lashley or be replaced by the Almighty. In a dominant display, Bobby Lashley sends a hurt lock and Dominic submits. This match gets a 3 out of 5 for me, while Lashley dominated Dom's attempt at an offense. Both were entertaining and showcased both of their in-ring talent.
Now, most people who listen to the show, Mark, know that I am not a Dominic Mysterio fan. It's not Dominic's fault, though. It was that whole Seth Rollins feud with Ray and Dominic and all that. But how do you announce the kid as a member of the Survivor Series team and then pull it away from him and tell him, you got to beat Bobby Lashley in order to be on this team? You know what I mean? It's really...
I mean, it was an impossible task.
Yeah. You know, unless they were going the 1, 2, 3 kid route and going to let him beat Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, which I don't foresee.
No.
Down Dominic and Ray feud.
I have this weird feeling that they're looking for Dominic to turn on Ray.
Right.
And lead to a father, which would be horrible because, you know, I mean, you know what they're going to do if Dominic turns on Ray, right?
But please say they're not going to announce that Eddie was really the father.
Right. And you know they're going to do, come on now, Mark. You know the way the WWE is. Dominic's going to get on the mic and go, you know what? Eddie was my father.
It's sad, but it's true. That, as cheap as WWE goes,
yeah,
their angles, that is probably what's
going to happen. And then Elia Mysterio is going to run and go, La Parka was my dad, and people are going to be like, who's La Parka? All right.
Next, we're taken backstage where we see Chad Gable and Otis training, and Rollins enters the frame. They stroke each other's egos and get in cahoots. Big E makes his way to the ring to face Chad Gable with his ogre of a henchman Otis, who now looks like the antagonist in the old Pee Wee Herman. This match displayed strength and athleticism on the part of both superstars and was a nail-biter of a match. 2 big endings later, and Big E emerges victorious. Big E and Otis have a stare down in the ring afterwards, and this match was a solid 4 out of 5 show.
I agree with you on that. Chad Gable was great.
You saw that match?
I did. Chad Gable was actually really good, but he's always really good. I mean, the guy's got skill. And Big E is coming into his own as world champion, where I do not agree with you, though. To me, Otis looks like baby Vader. He looks like they're trying to push him as the next Vader. You know.
I just, when you see his face,
oh yeah,
like that after
working
man Otis for so long, my first recollection was that looks like the guy from Pee Wee Herman.
Francis.
Yes, Francis.
Just really bigger.
Right. And now that he's with Gable, he's undergone like this transformation. I mean, good for him for getting in shape, but I mean, everybody loved the working man Otis.
They did. And it was like WWE took everything from him in 1 minute. You know, oh, you get Mandy Rose and the Money in the Bank briefcase. Wait, we thought about it. You get nothing.
Our bad.
Our bad.
That didn't increase the rates. We thought it would. On past that, we're brought to Kevin Owens backstage. He's pleading with R-Truth to believe him about last week's situation. R-Truth spouts off more comedic gold as usual.
Of course.
Taken to another commercial. As we return, Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville are in the women's locker room announcing the selection for the Raw women's team. Zelina Vega, Carmella, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, and Bianca Belair. Then they announce the fatal 5-way match between everybody where the winner will get a championship match against Big Time Becky. Dewdrop inquires on why she wasn't chosen, along with Dana Brooke and Nikki Ash. The next scene is Dominic and Rey Mysterio backstage with the doctor, and Dominic has now miraculously suffered a neck sprain. Rey complains about Adam Pearce. And we're transitioned into a 24/7 title match between Reginald and Drake Maverick.
Now, before we get into
Reginald
that,
does his acrobat.
before we get into that match,
Okay, go ahead.
the Raw Women's team looks good to me. I like it. I think it's stacked pretty well. Again, with this, because the SmackDown team just kind of looks all thrown together.
Right.
The only part I don't understand is why Nikki Ash wouldn't be on the team with Rhea Ripley being there. Why wouldn't the Raw Tag Team Champions be on the women's team? But I'm sure they'll do something to fix it. What I didn't like about that segment was Dewdrop wanting to voice her opinion about, and why does this and why, dude, you've been there like 4 months and you've lost like 80% of your matches, you know.
Exactly, and you were Eva Marie Otis.
Right, exactly. And what are you bitching about? You know what I mean?
Like, be happy with the push you're getting.
You know, so.
But I mean, I understand it's for storyline purposes.
Yeah, but I mean, if they're going to a heel Dewdrop, then they need to rip that name away from her and make her the Viper again, or Piper Niven, or whatever they're going to call her. She does. You can't have a heel named Dewdrop.
Definitely does not scream, "I'm a heel."
Right. You know, that just doesn't work for me. So now to the 24/7 match. Go ahead.
All right, Reginald, he does his acrobatic. R-Truth begins his way to the ring only to be attacked by Benjamin and Alexander of the Hurt Business, where they come from and for why, nobody knows.
Right.
Drake Maverick rolls up Reggie for the 1, 2, 3, and we have a new champion. But it's short-lived as Akira Tozawa rolls up Maverick to capture the title. Corey Graves catches Tozawa slipping and pins him for the belt, which then in turn Byron Saxton pins Graves to become
Horrible.
champion.
Horrible.
Drake Maverick pins Saxton to regain the belt, and as Maverick tries to escape, Reginald hits him with a flying corkscrew and pins Maverick to win the 24/7 championship back and hightails it backstage. This match gets a 3.5 out of 5 because of the comedic value. It was definitely entertaining.
It was perfect.
Yes,
it was perfect for comedy reasons. I felt bad for Corey Graves because that was the first title he's ever won in the WWE. And like he seemed so happy about it. And then of all people, Byron Saxton is the one that beats him for it. But
yeah, that's just the nail in the coffin.
But like Reginald being the 24/7 champion defeats the purpose because that guy can literally fly. You know?
Yeah.
How do you catch him?
Why have you not given this man ring gear?
Right.
Like every week he's coming out in a suit
and loafers,
and pulling off these amazing acrobatic stunts.
Mark,
and he's not even in professional gear.
All right, if I go to step out of my car in a pair of loafers and the cement is too slippery, I might break my neck. This dude is doing a 3-flip transition corkscrew in loafers and landing perfectly.
Yeah,
you know, that's. He's got skill. I know that much.
I believe it was Graves and Saxton made the joke during this match that they recognize one of those moves because their daughter does it in gymnastics.
But hey, whatever he's doing, it gets over. The crowd actually pops when he's doing those moves.
And down to the commentary, even in this match, the whole thing had the comedic value. And to me, if you can make me laugh.
Right.
And not, lose focus on the match at the same time, that you're doing great.
I agree.
Well, the 24/7 is preluded by Big Time Bex making an entrance to join the commentary team for the Fatal 5-Way match.
That outfit, I don't... Mark, I have to ask you a question. Am I wrong because I thought that she looked really good in that outfit? The hair, the disco ball.
There's definitely nothing wrong with her work, her look. It's more along the lines of she's a little rusty on the in-ring.
Right, but if any other woman would have tried to pull that look off, she would have looked god awful. Becky Lynch made it work for some reason. I don't know what it was.
Maybe it's just the natural beauty.
Maybe. Why Seth had to be dressed like Paddington Bear and she had to be dressed the way she was, though. I mean, blue raincoat and red boots have no sense. But whatever.
After Becky joins the commentary team, Bianca Belair is seen backstage preparing for the match, where she's interrupted by
Dewdrop.
Who complains about Bianca losing and still getting opportunities.
Right.
The argument's cut short because Belair's music hits and she makes her way to the ring.
I like the way Bianca cut her off there. She just walked away.
Yeah, she was like, I ain't got time for you. I got to go focus on my opportunity that I don't deserve.
Right.
The other competitors make their way to the ring and our match is underway. Liv Morgan picks up the win via crucifix on Carmella after Doudrop interrupts Bianca Belair's pin attempt and she hits Zelina Vega with the KOD. Carmella tries to steal the win by pinning Zelina, but is caught by Liv, and Liv has a championship opportunity against Becky Lynch now. Becky Lynch climbs atop the announce table and holds up her belt, and Liv Morgan climbs up there also for face-off. After a few seconds stare down, Becky retreats.
I like.
Finally.
I like it. I like that they're giving Liv a push. I think that she deserves it.
Finally for.
Yeah, she deserves it. You took away all her friends. You left her all by herself. You put her in that god-awful Lana and Bobby Lashley storyline for no reason. And she's great in the ring. So,
I mean, I was really, really put over with her after that Elimination Chamber where, she had her whole butt sticking out.
Right.
Out of the Elimination
Chamber.
So wow, but that's just like her instantly over with me.
Hey, to each their own. It worked. If that's what made her get over with you, that's fine. But do I think they're going to let her beat Becky immediately? No. But I'd like a nice slow burn of maybe 3 title matches between the two of them and her finally winning on the last one. You know what I mean?
Right. Like, I don't think it should be an instantaneous
thing
either. No. I think they should build it, and if they build it properly, it will be one of the best things that we have seen in a long
Definitely.
time.
Maybe let her win the belt at like the Royal Rumble. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then if you want to have Becky again enter the Women's Royal Rumble and win it, so she's got a guarantee title shot. Because you know they will.
Right.
You know?
Yep. Unfortunately, it's pretty predictable that way. But then we're taken backstage again, where Rollins finds Big E, tells him he doesn't want any trouble, but tries to convince him even further that Kevin Owens betrayed him. Big E responds with he doesn't trust either of them. Big E makes his way to the ring and joins the announce table. Austin Theory comes out taking selfies with all the commentators and tries to take one with Big E, and his phone is snatched and Big E throws it away.
Some fan got a nice phone.
Walks away. Go ahead.
I said some fan got a nice prize to take home.
Well, I think he threw it like down in front of the commentary table, so as Terry was walking away, he could snatch it up.
Right.
But as Terry walks away, Rollins music hits. He makes his way to the ring, cut the promo, confessing him and Kevin Owens' plan. The events from the previous week, at which point Owens storms down to the ring and he isn't there to talk. Immediately,
he whips Rollins' ass.
Yeah, and our main event of the evening is underway. Rollins and Owens fight outside near the commentary table. Big E avoids them, and as the referee reaches a 9 count, Rollins runs past Big E to enter the ring, and Owens attempts to sprint from the other side and instead runs into Big E, which causes him to lose to Rollins via count. As Rollins hightails it out of there laughing at Owens, it sends him overboard, and Owens begins a malicious assault on Big E that includes a pop-up powerbomb on the apron. The referees and officials attempt to tear Owens, who breaks free and attacks him once more before returning to the back, and we are taken off the air by the image of Big E writhing in pain.
Now,
I give this match a 3.5 out of 5 because, I mean, it had some great back and forth and storyline progression.
Right.
The only thing I would have changed was that Owens would have won. Overall, Raw gets
Right.
4 out of 5 from me this week, and to me is in contention with earning the A-Show title.
Now,
But
Big E deserved that ass whipping.
yeah, he did.
You know,
But,
all show long. I don't trust you. I don't trust you. Why are you in my way then? You know.
right. But at the same time, I like the more serious Biggie in the black and gold attire with the New Day wrote in like the Godfather look.
Right.
To me, that's like I don't know. It just that's a really cool attire. I would love to see a figure made of that.
Oh, I'm sure you'll get it.
But I mean, that was the main event. But I really, really wanted to ask you about this, Archie.
Okay.
Did you see when they came back from a commercial that they had this week in WWE history in the Montreal Screwjob was showcased?
Yes.
I can't help but wonder if that wasn't a hint that something similar may happen at this Survivor Series.
It wouldn't surprise me. The WWE loves to go back to the Montreal Screwjob. I mean, we've had like 5 other screw jobs since then, 3 of which took place at a Survivor Series. It really, I mean, we know Vince. He rests on his laurels when he thinks something worked and if fans will pop for it. You know, for all we know, he's going to screw over Big E and make Roman win at Survivor Series. You know what I mean? Which obviously, if they're putting one champion over the other, it's going to be Roman Reigns because of how much they have invested in him. And it's not title for title, so they don't have to worry about Big E losing anything other than the match. So, but yeah, I could see a screw job at Survivor Series very easily.
Or I could see it between Charlotte and Becky.
Right.
She gets screwed over, pissed off, she leaves the company.
With Vince McMahon, you know, that whole never say never should be tattooed on Vince's forehead. Never say never when it comes to what Vince McMahon will do to what he thinks is going to give his company more business.
Well, I mean, at the same time, this is the way I see it. He has so many other good female talents.
Right.
He has Becky, who he's pushing to the moon.
Right.
Bianca, she's getting her push. Sasha Banks has always been pushed. I mean, really, and I hate to say this, but who cares if Charlotte Flair's goes?
Well, yeah. And you look at it like, well, Flair left too, because when Flair was there from like 91 to 93, he went back to WCW and whatnot. So if Charlotte really left, it wouldn't hurt them that much. But if they did it at the expense of screwing her over, fans may look at Vince and go, wow, this is just a constant, you know what I mean? You're forever shitting on talent that gives you their heart. You know what I mean? So,
right.
You know, it would make Vince look really bad. And if Charlotte left under those circumstances, a lot more fans would probably start watching other companies more so than WWE. It would hurt ratings in a big way. So,
well, you said it would make Vince look really bad, but this is about, you know, we're talking about the same guy that wore the do-rag.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
You know, and put himself as the champion.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Here's the thing. People say Vince Russo, you know, put himself over in WCW. Vince McMahon put himself over just as much, if not more, in WWF and WWE. So
yeah, with Stone Cold and all that.
Yeah, you know, he's the one owner in a wrestling company that can say he's been the WWF champion, the ECW champion, and the hardcore champion.
Yeah.
You know,
you know. Also, my way of things, looking at it too, is we really didn't need the corporation or the corporate ministry, but I'm not saying those weren't good factions. I'm just saying, what was the point?
At the end of the day, it was strictly to put himself over.
Right, and you didn't need that group just to go after one person and Stone Cold and stuff.
The ministry made no sense because it ended with Vince anyway. It was like, if that was the end game anyway, why were we doing this?
It was me, Austin.
Right. It's still one of my favorite things, though. I love saying it. It was me, Austin. It was me all along.
Right.
So,
But you literally almost sacrificed your daughter on the
right,
cross
right,
to be wed by the Undertaker.
right.
Great parenting skills there, Bob.
We know who's not babysitting the grandkids when Stephanie and Triple H need to get away. So, moving on to our next show review is NXT 2.0. I was pretty hard on them last week, Mark, because it was very, very promo heavy. The matches were very quick, so I'm hoping they rebound this week, but I guess we gotta wait and see. Um, we kick off this week's show with a 6-woman tag match, and I'm all for it because it's about time NXT started off with wrestling. AEW's been doing it. Raw just did it again recently. SmackDown's been doing it. There's no reason for NXT to start with anything but a match. You know, so
I agree. I mean, you always want action to captivate that audience at
right,
the beginning of the show.
right. So our 6-woman tag is the team of Toxic Attraction, Mandy Rose, the new NXT Women's Champion, Gigi Dolan and JC Jane, the new NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, and they are taking on Io Shirai and a team I like to nickname Team Botch. Casey Carter and no, I was sorry, Carter and Catarazano. Excuse me. This was a 15-minute car crash, but I actually mean that in a good way, Mark. EO Carter and JC went all out from the top with some high flying moves here, including a perfect moonsault from Io Shirai delivered into the middle of the ring. Mandy punished Catarazano and kept her team in control during the later parts. Gigi hit her finisher on Carter, and Toxic Attraction picked up a very nice win to start off NXT here. And like I said, it was a car crash, but for the right reasons. You want to see 6 people actually having a match. You just don't want to see, oops, she slipped off the ropes. Oops, she killed herself. Oops, she broke her neck. That wasn't this. This was actually a decent match.
Right. And I just had this to say about Toxic Attraction. In my opinion, Mandy Rose and the other dark-haired girl is the attraction part, and the orange-haired girl is the toxic part.
I like me.
She might have crawled out of a full of slime or something.
I don't care. I like me some Gigi Dolan. I don't care.
I like the two, Mandy Rose and the dark-haired girl.
JC Jane, right?
She looks like, all right, in high school there was the ugly chick that hung out with the popular girl.
Yes.
She, kind of gained popularity. That, to me, that's what she is.
I don't know. I like Gigi Dolan. She's good in the ring. She's exactly. Up next we had Pete Dunne, and he got interrupted immediately without ever saying a word backstage by Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. But Dunne isn't having any of the silliness. He just pretty much told Carmelo, "You want a match, you got it," and walked away. Back in the arena, Toxic Attraction is.
He did threaten to break his fingers.
He did, but that's Pete Dunne. That's normal for him. It's like saying hello. You know what I mean? He wasn't going to play any of the games that Carmelo and Trick were trying to play with him. Back in the arena, Toxic Attraction still hasn't made their way out of the arena, and they get bypassed by Kaylee Ray. Makes her way to the ring for a quick match, but then we shift because we go to a commercial, and we have MSK, and apparently their new guru has moved locations, and the boys agree to fly in order to find him, and it looks like this is going to continue. Now, Mark, I'm slightly thinking they're going to find John Morrison because
that would be hilarious.
Yeah, but he's doing the whole, Go ahead. No, go ahead.
But is it just me, or is MSK to wrestling what Cheech and Chong were to movies?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Because if you noticed when they said that the other place, it was 420
miles
away.
Yes. Well, these guys were a part of a team in Impact called the Rascals, and Yeah, and they would go to their clubhouse and they'd smoke out and then they'd have a match afterwards. So it makes sense that they're keeping that gimmick alive. But they keep talking about finding that higher existence and that third eye and that leads me to believe that it's either going to be John Morrison or they've got a crazy gimmick about to be unloaded on NXT.
It might be a breath of fresh air.
It might be.
Some of it's been kind of special.
It may be. Kaylee Ray then goes to take on Saraya. Saraya got in some offense, which included an arm drag, a pin attempt, and a big boot. But Ray was vicious in this matchup. She beat Saraya from pillar to post, nailing a wicked face buster into the announce table. Ray hit her finisher and picked up the win in 5 minutes. And I got to say, in my opinion, Kaylee Ray is a vicious monster. And go ahead. What's your question?
Is she related to Charles Lee?
No. No, she is not. Although she does seem that psychotic, so you never can tell.
Like she has malicious intent.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. When she was in NXT UK, she was like the baddest thing going, and they had to bring in a literal Japanese legend in order to beat her. It's the women actually shine bright in the opening matches of NXT, and if you're gonna book someone. If you're going to book someone like Kaylee Ray to be the next person to challenge for the world title for the women's division, that's how you book her. Let her squash someone who's been undefeated for the last couple of months.
Right.
So now we then go to Joe Gacy, and he says he doesn't know where Harland is, but he's looking for him, and he dedicates his match to him tonight. We see highlights from Braun Breaker and Tommaso Ciampa on tour with WWE in England. Breaker says he's coming back to the States and is ready to be NXT champion. Now, what are your thoughts on Joe Gacy?
My thoughts on Joe Gacy. All right, we're talking about pre this match, right?
Yeah.
Okay. He is definitely a strange individual, and I kind of get some whole, not in the same sense, but Wyatt family vibes.
Right.
And it's going to be interesting to see what direction they take that gimmick.
It seems like he's either a cult leader or I don't know. Like I'm getting weird vibes from him that he's going to build a family, starting with Harland, who, as we both have seen, is a pretty mean-looking son of a bitch. And his work, he's constantly talking about snowflakes and people being everybody being included. And I understand that's a lot of what we hear nowadays, from people, the verbiage that's used nowadays. But I can't tell if he's with them or against them. You know what I mean? Is he himself a Karen, a snowflake who's going to complain? Or is he somebody who's against them and is going to try to take everybody out, no matter who they are?
Right, like a Kane or somebody.
Right,
like that.
Right. So I like the way they've been building Braun Breaker. I wish his name was Rex Steiner, though, and not Braun Breaker. But I really love what they've done with this young kid.
Yes, and when he was making that statement that he was putting in the work and ready to be NXT champion, you can definitely hear shades of his father in it.
You hear Rick, and then you hear Scotty too. You get that sense that he was taught by both of them. Right. Well, I'm hoping I'm waiting one day because we've heard it. We heard the announcers on his debut say something about, and there's a rumor going around that Braun is pretty good at math, and I went, yeah, they're leading towards it. If he cuts a Steiner math promo, let me tell you, I'm gonna lose it.
It's gonna put him even more over with.
Oh, definitely. We go back into the arena for Joe Gacy to taking on Boa, who doesn't have his normal manager with him lately. She's been missing since last week. This was another quick match, at about 4 minutes long. Gacy has the upper hand early on and has a devastating clothesline. Boa made a comeback, and then the lights began to flicker, and Boa went crazy, locking in a Tonga death grip that would have made Haku probably wince. But but he wouldn't let go. Gacy got in the ropes. The referee counted to 5, and match ends in a DQ. This was a little weird, but also kind of intriguing as well. So they kind of left us wanting more there, in my opinion.
Yeah, and he was saying Harlan, we done it. Harlan, we done it.
Right.
And to me, it makes me wonder, if this Harlan guy kind of has Papa Chongo vibes going on, and he got Bo or whatever.
Right. Right.
So I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting to see where that goes.
It will be interesting, definitely. I do agree. We then hear from Kushida and his jacket wearing Japanese friend. Apparently, their team name is either Japanese or Jacket Time. I don't think I like either one. Yeah, I mean, well, we all know Kushida does the whole Marty McFly outfit and Back to the Future vibe. So Jacket Time is a play on Back in Time. It's supposed to be Back to the Future.
I get the whole I'm a Dragon Ball Z character vibe from Kushida.
Do you? Is it the hair?
Yes. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. And then did you see his partner give me his outfit?
Yep.
He looked like the Japanese version of Riddle.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of want him to come to the main roster and maybe team with Riddle. That might be funny, but whatever the case is, they say that they're gonna take on the Diamond Mines Creed brothers later on, and then Malcolm Bivens interrupts from his gym and says that the Diamond Mine will take out Kushida and Jiro tonight. Can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm for the Diamond Mine in this match because the jacket-wearing Japanese guy kind of gets on my nerves a little. Your gimmick is you wear a jacket to the ring. Okay.
I mean, they kind of remind me of a new age Kai.
Yeah, and that shouldn't be being done to Kushida because the guy's got serious legacies dating back to Japan. So it's.
Well, thank you, WWE booking.
Yeah, exactly. We then see a newcomer Sequoia backstage. He's the baby brother of Jay and Jimmy Uso, but they're not letting us know that on camera, obviously. And he's about to speak for the first time when Grayson Waller and LA Knight interrupt. Both run their mouths, but Sequoia says, let's end this bickering in a triple threat match later on tonight. Okay. I'll be honest, I want to see him kick both their asses. I have no problem with this.
Indeed. And is it just me, or does he look more like Alpha than any other wrestler?
I agree. He does look like Alpha. He has that boxed off face where the Usos and Roman have that more longer jaw. And I'll be honest, he has a moveset like I've never seen from any of the other ones. This isn't just Jimmy and Jay with the super kick or Roman with a spear. This guy moves. So
yeah, he seems like a legit badass.
Yeah, I agree. And it's about time WWE finally signed him because he's been sitting there for like 2 years waiting. So we then go to the ring for the Creed brothers taking on Jacket Time. I guess that's what I'm going to call them from now on. The Creed brothers manhandled Jiro, but the jacket wearer tries to fight back. Kushida got tagged in, and it took it to Brutus and Julius Creed. All four got involved in and out of the ring, which led to Julius hitting a stuffed powerbomb on Jiro for the win at the 10-minute mark. Now, I actually thought this was a good match because Kushida, when he was in the ring, was actually having some great offense, and he was putting up some great defense as well. Jiro wasn't terrible, but my feeling is the way we always wanted somebody to yank on the tie of Erwin R. Shyster, I want somebody to pull his jacket over his head and beat him up hockey style. You know what I mean? And it's not happening yet. You know what I
The
mean?
jersey coming out in you.
Yeah, it's just but it was a decent good match. With all four guys getting to show off a bit, and then Odyssey Jones hit the ring to come and save Jiro and Kushida. My only problem with this is the Diamond Mine weren't beating them up. So Odyssey Jones was just like, I'm gonna be here just in case. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So
But Odyssey Jones is a mammoth, and if pushed right, he could be along the lines of the next Bronson Reed.
well, that's what I'm not understanding. You fired Bronson Reed and then brought in a guy the exact height and build of him. So
Yep.
what was the thought there?
I don't get the.
Oh, we could fire him. We have more of him. Don't worry. Yeah. Mark, we could fire him. We have more of him. Don't worry. We have others waiting to come up just like him. Outside the arena, Toxic Attraction are leaving, and they sent a message to Kylie Ray. But just then, Raquel Gonzalez pulls up in her new motorcycle. She's really trying to be the female American badass, it seems like. Former NXT Women's Champion pulls right into the arena and has something to say. Gonzalez says Mandy may have her title for now, but she's got her sights set on Dakota Kai. Kai interrupted and wants to let Gonzalez know how she feels, but Cora Jade attacks Kai, looking to get revenge for last week. Gonzalez walks up to Cora after Dakota has ran off and lets Cora know that Dakota Kai is hers first, but she'll leave a little something for her when they're done. I like all three women involved. I like Dakota Kai. I think she's got great skill. Raquel Gonzalez was a decent women's champion, and Cora Jade is a newcomer that has a nice feel to her. So, what do you think about them?
My whole take on the situation with, all right, for one, Raquel Gonzalez looks like Peggy Bundy, as I've told you before. But that has nothing to do with her in-ring work. I think as far as the wrestler goes, she's a mammoth of a woman who could be pushed as one of the most dominant women in NXT.
I agree.
History. And I just don't see how Dakota Kai could get the best of her because the size difference. I mean, I understand it's all a work, but you just don't look at Dakota Kai and say, yeah, she has a snowball chance until it gets filled.
See, I agree with you. I agree with you there, and I don't mean to interrupt, but when they were together, I was getting an HBK Diesel vibe from them. You know what I mean? Like Raquel was meant to be the Diesel, while Dakota was the HBK, and then of course Raquel got the she took off and became champion. So if they do feud and Dakota does win, I could see it happening with some underhanded tactics, like Sean did when he beat Diesel those couple times.
Right.
I like the way they're going with that. And what is your thoughts on Cora Jade?
Cora, she seems like she's got more of the serious badass gimmick. At the same time, I definitely could see her being somewhat of a challenge for Raquel, but in the end, I still see Raquel taking both of them.
Oh yeah, I could agree with that. We then jump to Andre Chase, and he is delivering a speech to his students. I'm not liking this guy. I got to be honest with you, Mark. Andre Chase, Jiro, Grayson Waller, Tony D'Angelo, and that Lash Legend girl. They all seem like filler characters for NXT. And I hate to use this word. I know there are a lot of people in the world who hate this word, but they almost feel like jobbers who have names and entrances.
I agree. And is it just me, or is Andre Chase like the second coming of Chris Nowinski?
Yeah, Chris Nowinski, Matt Stryker, Dean Douglas. It's like let's take all three of those failed gimmicks and put them together. Here's Andre Chase, ladies and gentlemen.
Right, and we're gonna expect this is gonna be a brilliant idea on NXT when it didn't work in WWF.
Right. It hasn't. It never worked. Those three men failed at it. Now Shane Douglas came from ECW as the biggest star that company had at the time. He couldn't make it work. Matt Stryker, who was actually a teacher, couldn't make it work. And Christopher Nowinski got a concussion and was still trying to make it work and still trying to, and the fans just rejected it every time.
Yep.
So I just, like I said, those that
I guess.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I guess every so often they recycle the gimmick and think, let's see if it'll work now.
I guess, but I mean, like I said, those guys I lumped together, Tony D'Angelo with that stereotypical Sopranos gimmick, Lash Legend. She's just, she's trying to be this talk show host. It's like, okay, we get it. You needed to get some of the students out of the class and make them actual characters. But maybe we could have done better than just throwing a dartboard at the board and saying, okay, this is your name, this is your occupation, and now go out there and wrestle. You know what I mean? It's
it's terrible. I mean, these people could have, really serious in-ring talent, and
right.
Instead, they're going to be buried.
So we go to the Grizzled Young Veterans, which is a tag team that I like, and they're doing something involving food and grifting and like trying to scam people. I was just very confused by this segment. It really made no sense. Like, I got it. Like, if you can distract people while you steal from them, you can distract the referee while I do something underhanded. But I think they could have done this a better way than what they did.
Yeah, other than a DoorDash scam.
Yeah. Like, we then go to Cameron Grimes taking on Ru Feng. This was a 2-minute squash match where Feng got in like 2 moves, and Grimes hit him with a chop, a clothesline, finally hit his splash and double stomp and got the win. This was okay, but it was the post match that what got me here, Mark. Duke Hudson hit the ring, and he's pissed that Cameron Grimes beat him in his own casino last week. And he wants to know if Grimes cheated or if he hustled him, and Grimes lets him know that he hustled him, so that lets Duke challenge him. And I was like, okay, great, we're gonna get a match. And then Duke's like, I challenge you to a poker showdown next week. What the fuck is a poker showdown? Is that a dance off? Is that are they gonna play poker in the middle of the ring for 30 minutes? I mean, I don't mind this. It's funny. It does add comedy, but when do we actually get to see Duke Hudson wrestle?
I agree. And to me, his gimmick, it kind of reminds me of a Wade Barrett mixed
right.
with Joe Pesci from Casino.
Right.
I don't know who was the creative behind that, but I mean, it's kind of working for him so far, so I'm interested to see what's next for him.
Cameron Grimes is great, and whatever they've tried to do with him, he's been making it work. I hope he helps Duke Hudson get over. But if it's just going to be play poker, I need something more. I don't know.
Right.
We get our triple threat that was talked about earlier. Sequoia taking on LA Knight and Grayson Waller. Sequoia starts off with hitting both men with a smack. Waller tries to get the upper hand, and Knight joins in. Both, however, cannot keep the young Samoan down, and he lays them both out with a double clothesline. Knight tried to make a comeback, but Sequoia leveled him, and Waller with a suplex, which I thought was unbelievable the way this guy delivered a suplex. Big splash to Knight, and Sequoia gets a big win in 7 minutes flat. This was excellent. You want to build a newcomer? Build him over a veteran like LA Knight and another newcomer like Waller, but let him pin the veteran. That was perfect.
Right. I agree. And it's a breath of fresh air to see them not have him, have him win that first match and then not come in on the second match and drop the ball.
Right.
Strong, which is going to, eventually it's going to lead to him being up against Breaker or Ciampa, whoever has the belt at the time.
Right.
Which is what I'm thinking.
Oh, definitely.
And if they keep that momentum with him, that's going to be a epic clash.
Look, we both know that Samoa Joe isn't being cleared to wrestle anytime soon. The poor guy keeps getting injured with concussions. I wouldn't even mind if they brought Samoa Joe back as maybe his handler. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would actually be really really good for the gimmick.
So we then go to Indy.
I mean, if he's not going to talk that much, he's going to
Right,
be a mouthpiece.
right. He should have a mouthpiece, and who better than Samoa Joe?
Right.
We then go to Indy Hartwell and her friend Parada backstage. They're interrupted by Tony D'Angelo. Tony says he's going to take Dexter Lumis out next week and leaves them with a fish, which is that, again, stereotypical Godfather. Look, I love The Godfather. I love Sopranos. I love Goodfellas. But these are bad jokes. You know what I mean? No one is laughing at this. They're going, really?
A little on the stale side.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just stereotypical for the sake of stereotypical. And we've seen that already tonight with the Japanese guy wearing a jacket. You know what I mean? So we don't need it twice.
I kind of got the whole Johnny Stampoli vibe off of him.
Okay, but at least Johnny Stampoli could wrestle.
Yeah.
Johnny the Bull was a fighter. He actually had a moveset. You know, but
just the fedora and
his
whole mannerism, that's what I was like, that took me back to him.
Oh, I agree. I agree. Elektra Lopez takes on Erica Yang next. Another squash match here. Elektra botching her way to victory in 2 minutes. What I mean by that is the ending power bomb looked like it almost broke Jan's neck. Very, very scary. Post-match, Elektra calls out Zion Quinn to the ring. He answers rather quickly, and Elektra offers him to join Legado del Fantasma. He declines. On the web. Alexa, go to sleep. Okay, my Alexa's talking to me. He declined rather quickly to join Legado, and then Wilde and Mendoza tried to take him out, and he wasn't having it. He beat them both up and threw them out of the ring, and then he wrapped his arms around Elektra. Little corny, but I'll give this time because I like the way Zion Quinn is being booked here.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's good. Like, as far as intriguing, it makes you want to know what's going to happen next.
Right.
You can see the attraction between him and Elektra, or whatever her name is.
Right.
I think that's her name, Elektra.
Yeah, it's Elektra Lopez. Yeah.
But to me, she reminds me of the Hispanic cousin of Nia Jax.
Yes, thank you. I was thinking the same thing. Of that power bomb. Bro, when I saw the way she landed that power bomb, I was like, dude, how is that little girl not dead? You know.
And she's got to protect whoever she's working with.
I agree. But again, that's what happens when you bring up too many people too quickly without knowing if they're really ready to go or not, you know.
Exactly.
So, War Games is back on Sunday, December 5th, one of my favorite pay-per-views ever. And I just hope that with the depleted roster that we have on NXT, we get some decent War Games matches out of it. You know.
Yeah.
You know, there's no Adam Cole, there's no Undisputed Era. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking we're probably going to get. Tell me what you think of this, Mark. It's probably going to be Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, Kyle O'Reilly, and maybe Dexter Lumis versus whoever those four guys are feuding with at the time.
It could be good as long as it's progressed, right?
Right.
I mean, that would probably pit Breaker on the other team, and to be honest with you, Breaker's over with me.
Oh, yeah.
So I would want to naturally see them win, but I don't think that they're going to let Breaker beat Ciampa.
No, not yet. Not yet.
I still think would probably be too soon because they need to progress him and build him into what people expect to see out of him as far as, you know, he's got the lineage in wrestling where he should be a superior athlete.
Exactly. I agree.
And
look, Ciampa's a great wrestler, and he's been one of the better NXT champions, but I like Ciampa chasing the belt a little more than I like him actually holding it.
Yeah, because he kind of gives off that Smeagol from Lord of the Rings vibe.
Mm-hmm.
The whole Goldie is my precious.
Right.
So, I mean, I like Ciampa. Don't get me wrong.
No, I do too.
Do not get me wrong. I think Ciampa is great, but I'm with you. I'd like to see him chasing it other than actually happening.
Right, right. Mackenzie then talks to Kyle O'Reilly about the last week's loss. Kyle says the ref made a mistake because he didn't notice Von Wagner's foot on the ropes. But he and Von are going to have their sights set on the tag team titles. And speaking of the tag team titles, Imperium come in, but Von then shows up and Von Wagner scares them off. But we're going to find out something in a little while from Mark regarding Von Wagner, which makes me think that maybe Kyle is about to be tag team partnerless. But we'll get into that in just a bit. I like Kyle O'Reilly, but he's like the last of the Undisputed Era left in NXT. I mean, there's Roderick Strong, but he's got something going on with Diamond Mine. Kyle looks like a man without a country. You know what I mean? He's just there.
Indeed.
He's just there. And putting him with Von Wagner, I think, was the wrong move because I like Von Wagner from what I've seen so far. But Kyle O'Reilly needed to be a single star, not a tag team star again.
I agree.
You know, that's
they
just.
They can push him to the moon as a single guy.
You know what? I've always seen this with him though, Mark. Kyle O'Reilly in Ring of Honor, when they finally gave him the world title, he held it for like 6 weeks, and then Adam Cole came back and beat him for it. Here in NXT, he tried challenging for it a number of times. He couldn't get the job done. It's like they see star in him, but they just can't let it. They just can't push him over the line to let him actually do it.
Yeah, it's like, what is he missing?
Right.
For him
right. You know, he cuts a decent promo. He's a damn machine in the ring. You know, but to each their own, I guess. They gotta do something with him eventually.
Yeah, maybe they're seeing something we're
not seeing. Maybe. We then have our main event, and it's Pete Dunne taking on Carmelo Hayes in a non-title match. Pete Dunne starts off fast and strong, kicks to the head and elbows keep Hayes down. Hayes made somewhat of a comeback with these two, had a really good technical showdown, which was weird because Hayes is usually going to the air. Dunne used joint manipulation, but Hayes fought back. Trick tried to get involved, but Dunne saw it coming. However, it allowed Hayes to take Dunne out. Dexter Lumis then appeared in the crowd, and then an arm grabbed Carmelo Hayes from under the ring, which was weird because Dexter was in the crowd. Dunne hit his finisher on Carmelo Hayes at the 15-minute mark with a little bit of help from Lumis, and who was then shown to be Johnny Gargano under the ring. It was a great main event, though. Both guys highlighted very well. Great back and forth, and very well done for this week's show in regards to wrestling. You know, I know I made a couple jokes, but the matches were much better. And I'd give the score for NXT this week a 4 out of 5. Definite improvement from last week's show.
That's a valid score. I mean, it was entertaining. It had its highs and lows, which I mean everything's gonna.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, Carmelo and his partner remind me of another attempt at somewhat of a crime time.
Yes. I think that's the only way Vince knows how to book African American stars, to be honest with you, when they're together. Unless they're the New Day. You know, and I'm not making fun. It's just, if you look at the Street Profits, Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, Crime Time, it just, whenever there's two African American guys together, they have to be hood for some reason. They can't just be, you know, what they are. You know, Carmelo Hayes, when he first walked into NXT, was this young, brash kid who said when Carmelo shoots, he doesn't miss. All of a sudden, fast forward 4 weeks later, and he's wearing a basketball jersey, and he's got on Jordan, and it's like, what changed? You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, what changed? Who changed you? Who did this to you?
They obviously told you to wear that kid.
Right. So, and now switching gears to AEW Dynamite, my partner Mark here, not the biggest AEW fan. I'll let you in on that now. He likes it, but he's not like I am. So he may have a difference of opinion here. And AEW starting out the way they have been starting for weeks. We go to the ring for our opening match. Loving this. Love seeing opening sequence action. The only thing better, I guess, is if they started the show with a match already in progress. And we get Bryan Danielson versus Rocky Romero. And these two have a history. They've trained in the New Japan dojo together. So they have a good, rapport with one another. And handshake starts us out. And here we go. Both men trade arm locks, reversals, and right hands and kicks. Very evenly matched here in our opener. Romero finally broke loose with a Hurricane Rana from the second rope to the outside. Danielson fought back, landed multiple stomps to the back of Romero's head, and then switched from the label lock to a tequila sunrise when he couldn't lock the label lock in, and gets a big win, great win, in 14 minutes of this opening matchup. I thought it was fantastic.
I agree. That was a damn good opener. And I'll say this: Daniel Bryan is not a superstar that needs build because he's already been to the mountain and stuff in WWE.
Right.
And what he is doing in AEW, I think is good. And it was a very entertaining match. Yeah, it was technical wrestling at its finest.
He's had 8 matches so far in AEW, and each match has been different. That's what I like about Daniel Bryan outside of the WWE. It's not the same match every week, week in and week out. He switches the submission. He switches the way he delivers a kick. He even switches the way he goes to the top rope every time he's in the ring.
Yeah, it's like he's evolving who he is, and with any gimmick, that is how it should go. Is you should evolve it.
I agree. We then go to Tony Schiavone introducing who? What were you calling them earlier, Mark?
Chris Jericho and the Elder.
Here's the funny part: the oldest guy in that group besides Jericho is Jake Hager. So.
I know, but it just fit.
No, I know. Tony brings them to the ring, and then American Top Team attacks from behind. They beat down the entire inner circle. Dos Santos destroyed Guevara with a right hand, which that was the only believable part of this whole beatdown, was that right hand that Junior Dos Santos delivered. Right, but you got guys trying to use trash cans when they never had and hitting people with them and they're missing. Guys trying to use a kendo. It got to the point at one point, Ethan Page picked up the kendo stick and just threw it on the ground because he couldn't believe how bad they were at swinging it. You know what I mean? He's like, damn it. And he just walked away. And then it ended with Dan Lambert, of all people, putting Chris Jericho through a table, Dudley Boy style. Scorpio Sky grabs the mic and says he makes a promise that Dan Lambert will pin Chris Jericho this Saturday at Full Gear, but he is going to allow Dan Lambert to submit Chris Jericho tonight. Lambert puts on the Walls of Jericho. Not bad, actually. It looked like a decent Boston Crab. And segment is over. And I got to say, except for the bad, way that the American Top Team were attacking, this was actually well done in a story arc way, because the Inner Circle has been getting the upper hand the last couple of weeks, so it only makes sense for their aggressors to beat the crap out of them going into the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I agree. But to me, these guys are legitimate MMA fighters.
Right.
I understand they're not going to go out there and knock the block off of them, right off the jump and all
right.
that. And that they're still green when it comes to the sense of wrestling. But the way it looked so absolutely horrible that
right.
I would have hit him with the Simon Cowell. That is absolutely horrible.
I agree. And that really actually comes down to the cameraman too. You shouldn't have been that up close when those shots were being given, so that it didn't look as bad. But we know AEW's production sometimes gets really bad when it comes to showing things they shouldn't be. But like I said, that one shot Junior Dos Santos got on Sammy Guevara, I cringed. I was like, damn, did he make contact? You know what I mean? Because It looked good.
It wasn't pulled.
Yeah, it definitely was a bull. Like, this is what you guys get for making fun of Paige Van Zandt. We then go to a 6-woman tag, and we got Britt Baker, Rebel, and Jamie Hayter taking on Ty Conti, Anna Jay, and Thunder Rosa. I like everyone involved in this match. I think all 6 of these women are great wrestlers. Match starts out as a huge brawl between all 6 women, but Conti, Jay, and Rosa get the upper hand. Rosa and Baker start us off, and we go back and forth with reversals. So Britt tags out. Anna Jay comes in and levels the women's champion, but this brings in Hayter. Hayter tries to gain control, but in comes Ty Conti. All 6 women again brawl, only this time Conti hits her finisher and picks up the win in 10 minutes. Another solid match here, and Ty Conti has momentum going into Full Gear, Mark, but little different between the NXT women's 6-man tag and the AEW's women's 6-man tag. It was like all 6 of the AEW women had to be in the ring at the same time in order to get the fans going. You know what I mean?
Right.
Otherwise, it was just dead silence. Yeah, I mean, it was good though. I enjoyed the way that they made Thunder Rosa and Anna Jay look, and Britt Baker is a damn good women's champion. I'll be honest. I don't foresee Ty Conti getting the win at Full Gear.
I'm a fan of both. I'm a fan of Thunder Rosa. I'm a fan of Britt Baker, Ty Conti. I mean, tremendous women talent in that.
Yes. Yes. So, we then get dueling promos from Chris Statlander and Ruby Soho about their TBS tournament match. This match still hasn't happened. It seems like they've been building it for 3 weeks. Like, is this going to be the Hulk Hogan Ultimate Warrior of the women's tournament? You know what I mean? There's like too much build. There's too much build for these two. I like them. Ruby Soho, great women's wrestler. Chris Statlander, great. I love her gimmick. But you can't build this match for 3 weeks. It's the quarterfinals matchup. You know?
Eventually people are going to want to see it happen.
Right.
The sooner it happens, the better it is for
right. You know, it's like, why? I thought it happened weeks ago, but they were like, no, when we fight each other, this is going to, I'm like, what? So we then go back to the ring, which I love about AEW. It's not just all talk. Jungle Boy takes on Anthony Bowens. I actually know Anthony Bowens. He used to wrestle here in Rahway, New Jersey at We Are Wrestle Pro. I've met him dozens of times. Great guy. This was 2 young guys fighting it from the opening bell to the ending, and that's what they did. Bowens used raw power and hit a monstrous suplex. Jungle Boy made a comeback and used his speed to go to the air. Max Caster tried for the distraction, but Jungle Boy caught Bowens in the snare trap and got the win in 10 minutes. Great match. Props to both. They had good chemistry here, Mark. It wasn't just, you let me hit a move and then I'll let you hit a move. They were actually working together, to put each other over.
I agree. I'm a huge fan of Jungle Boy. And
me too.
The other guy's pretty good, other than the fact that he has the AEW's version of the basic
Thugonomics. Right. But Max Caster, here's the thing about it. If I'm sure you've heard his raps. He usually delivers a shoot in one of his raps every week. That's a shot at either the WWE or one of the guys and their girlfriends. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like he hit Jungle Boy with his girl.
Hanging out with 8 guys. Yeah, and I died laughing. Yeah. Like, that's right. He's dating Anna Jay. Oh my god. So post match,
it was witty.
Yeah, it was witty. It definitely was. But you're right. The rap gimmick, him coming to the ring, little played out though. Post match, Bobby Fish hits the ring and attacked Jungle Boy. And at first I was like, what the hell's going on here? And Christian Cage and Luchasaurus make the save. We then hear vignettes from Adam Page and Kenny Omega before Full Gear. Both men gave me chills with their words leading up to their match. From there, we have Adam Cole introducing the Young Bucks to Bobby Fish. And apparently Fish is Cole's hired assassin. And that's where it finally hit me. Oh, yeah, Undisputed Era. That's right. That's why he's there. Because at first I'm like, why the hell is Bobby Fish beating up Jungle Boy? What's going on here? And then when I saw him with Cole, I'm like, oh, right, they're friends. Okay, makes sense.
Right.
But it's going to lead to Jungle Boy and Bobby Fish having a match this coming Friday night, or it's already passed this Friday on Rampage. What are your thoughts about Kenny and Adam Page at Full Gear?
Page and Omega, to me, it's okay. Like, I'm more of a fan of Page than I am Omega.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong, Kenny Omega, tremendous in ring work.
Right.
I'm just so tired of seeing him.
I agree.
Be the man.
I agree.
I mean, not saying he's not main event caliber. It's kind of like, it's predictable, and you need that shock and awe factor.
I agree with you.
So to have Page go over on him, to me, would be the best move.
In some form, right? Even if it's not, look, I think Page deserves the title, but even if he just beats Omega by DQ and has another title shot down the line, I'm okay with that too. But the Young Bucks, Cody and Kenny Omega did interviews before AEW started, and they all four said at this, different times, we're not going to put ourselves over right away because we don't want people to think, well, we only get put over because we're executive vice presidents. And then when they finally did put themselves over, it happened anyway. You know what I mean? We're getting tired of Kenny. We got tired of the Young Bucks as the tag champs. People are booing Cody out of the goddamn arena. You know what I mean? So it's like it's not their fault though. They are big name attractions. You have to put them over eventually. You know what I mean? So,
right.
But I get what you're saying. It's time for someone else to take the belt. There's only been 3 champions now since AEW started, so it makes sense for the belt to maybe jump to somebody else. And Adam Page is the heir apparent, in my opinion. If it's not him, then put it on Punk. You know what I mean? That's what you brought Punk there for anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Punk's a major draw for them.
Right.
And,
so,
I mean, in the realm of things, it made sense to bring him in because that gave them a competitive edge, so to speak, over the WWE.
Right.
And it was good for their numbers.
Exactly. So, we then, speaking of CM Punk, get replays of Punk and Kingston from last week. JR and Excalibur talk it over and say that Punk needs to wrestle and not brawl with Kingston. I agree with this, but either way, this is going to be a war. I loved everything about their promo together, Mark, last week. That was raw, it was real, and I felt everything they said to each other.
I think just the opposite of what they said, though. If Punk is coming into this match thinking it's going to be a wrestling match,
oh no,
he's preparing the wrong way. Because Eddie Kingston and just the way that he's been pushed in his whole character, this man is coming to fight.
Oh yeah.
He's a badass, and I expect no less than Eddie Kingston coming in there, slapping Punk around, and I mean, yeah, I'm sure Punk's gonna go over, but
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. If I were CM Punk, and I know I'm not, he's obviously got me by quite a bit of weight and hair and attitude and money. But if I were CM Punk, I'd put Kingston over because Eddie Kingston is a draw his own self. That man.
Yeah, and he is definitely one that in the future that they can put the company on his back,
right,
and have him potentially a world champion, and it'd be over.
Right. I've said this around others, and they've agreed with me to a certain extent, and maybe I'm wrong, but Eddie Kingston delivers a modern day promo the way Dusty Rhodes used to in the 80s and the 90s. You feel it.
Right, and it doesn't seem pushed. pushed. It seems
Right.
like
Right.
legit. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like every time this man cuts a promo, or every time this man goes out there and puts in work in the ring, you can tell what kind of person Eddie Kingston is.
Right. Right.
And that on another level is going to connect with the fans that they're going to want to see more and more and more and more of Eddie Kingston.
Oh yeah, I agree with you 100%. Wardlow then took on Yuta, who is a friend of the best friends. This was a straight up squash match. Wardlow hit 4 big power bombs on Yuta, and the crowd loved every minute of it. They were asking for more. Awkward looking finisher though, and Wardlow gets the win in 3 minutes. Not the best match, but not bad. I mean, I understand you got to put Wardlow over as a beast. Then post match, Matt Hardy hits the ring and he takes out Chucky T, and then he hits a twist of fate with Orange Cassidy's head in a chair. I didn't even know this feud was still going on. You know what I mean? It kind of caught me by surprise. I'm like, what the fuck is Matt Hardy doing out there? You know.
To me, Wardlow is what Batista should have been in WWE.
I agree.
Like if they would have had that same momentum in WWE with Batista and booked him the way that they're booking Wardlow, Batista would have been a lot more dominant. Not saying that he was bad, but I'm just saying that's the sense of what I get every time I see Wardlow perform. Is that's what Batista should have been.
I agree with you on that one. And it's a slow burn with Wardlow. They're not forcing him. You know what I mean? Whenever he has a match, though, he performs, and I like him with MJF for now. But I'm ready for the blow off of where he's finally going to push MJF down and just be like, I'm going off on my own. You know what I mean?
Right, or lead into a feud with him, and Wardlow just obliterates him.
That would make more sense because if MJF is going to lose to anybody, it would be the monster he brought in. You know, backstage, CM Punk and Eddie Kingston are being separated. This is like 5 minutes of a war of the words with guys holding them back, and I thought it was great. I found it odd that Dustin Rhodes was the one holding back CM Punk, and that Ruby Soho was the one holding back Eddie Kingston. And I know that seems weird, but it's like what, Dustin Rhodes, you don't have a horse in this a dog in this fight. And the only thing I can think of is because I've heard Ruby say before, her and Eddie are actually very close friends because they grew up on the independent scene together. So okay, that made sense. But I'm like, Dustin, what are you doing there? You know what I mean? You have no reason to be there.
You know? I mean, and then they were going back and forth. But I mean, it's easy to talk shit from 40 to 50 yards away.
Right. You know, and then all of a sudden,
and Punk's like, let him through.
And then all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I'm like, wait a minute, that's Brock Anderson. Like, again, it was another weird sighting. Like, why is Arn Anderson's son holding CM Punk? You know what I mean? They were getting this segment together. Like, okay, who wants TV time for like 5 minutes? And Dustin and Brock were like, I do.
Who do we not have booked in a match
that who isn't going to be on the show for the next couple of weeks? Me. Okay, Dustin, we got you. We got you, Dustin. Don't worry. Go hold Punk. All right, I'll do it. We then get to a match that has been getting rave reviews since it aired. It is Lio Rush and Dante Martin taking on Matt Sydal and Lee Moriarty. And I have to say, I mean, I heard the reviews before I watched this match, Mark, but all 4 of these guys shined. Martin and Moriarty traded pins to start off and then submissions for the first few minutes. And it was like, wow, what am I watching here? You know what I mean?
I agree. It was a great match.
Sydal
Martin to me looks like the wrestling version of Kane Brown, the country singer.
Yeah.
Lio Rush, outstanding talent, high flying, adrenaline pumping.
if that young man could keep his, if he could keep his anxiety and depression at bay, which I know that's easily said than done, Leo Rush would be a star right now in any company. But the fact that when he got fired from the WWE, he got so many demons inside of him, and he felt like he wasn't worthy, that he had to quit wrestling 3 times. I just hope that he's finally got everything at bay and can come back. And with Dante Martin, what they did on Dynamite, this match was 10 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, but I wanted it to go 35 or 40 minutes, and I wanted it to be in like the Tokyo Dome with like 100,000 people watching them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, even if it would have went that long, you still would have been entertained because
right.
That's the tier of talent that was in this match.
Right. I had never really heard of Lee Moriarty before this match. I mean, I know he was on Dark a lot, but I saw this kid and I'm like, wow, he actually, for his first televised, Dynamite match, this kid could go. Him and Martin basically took up a lot of the slack of this match. They were in this match almost the entire time. But Rush and Seidel were trading move for move for move. They had a reversal segment in this match between Seidel and Rush that went like 2 minutes long, and neither guy looked winded afterwards. They just picked up and went, okay, tag.
And didn't Rush like do this dive to the outside onto the other guys?
It was from the bottom. He literally dove through the bottom rope. Now most guys come through the middle.
Yeah.
He went through the bottom rope and landed perfectly on his feet.
Yeah.
I mean, and then Dante Martin hitting that double jump. Dante Martin hits a double jump moonsault that Sabu wishes he could have hit in his prime.
Yeah. I agree. That was beautiful.
Great matchup. It deserves the praise that it got. If you watch nothing else on Dynamite this week, watch that match, and that match will explain the whole show to you, because that match was the whole show for 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was the Dynamite.
Definitely. We then go to the ring, back to the ring. Dax Hardwood taking on Pac, and from the bell, this was a brawl. Pac and Dax had a war going back and forth. Pac hit a tope to the outside, taking Dax down and out on the floor. Dax tried to make a comeback, but the bastard hit a hard reversal, and Pac went for the Black Arrow, but Dax rolled out of the way. Pac with a roll-up, Dax kicked out, but right into the Rings of Saturn for the submission win, and Pac gets the win in 13 minutes. I love how they followed up that high-flying technical battle with just an all-out fight between Pac and Dax Hardwood. It was perfectly done. 23 minutes of great wrestling in 2 matches.
Oh, yeah. Both guys, former WWE talent, and to me, that just goes to showcase as a single superstar of what Dax can do.
Oh, definitely. The WWE putting him with go ahead.
Post match, whenever his partner come into the ring.
Yeah.
and this was just at first glance, I'm like, what the hell is BPJ doing out there?
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, Cash Wheeler hit the ring, and he's fumbling with Pac. He's trying to hit him. And then all of a sudden, here comes Andrade and Aleister Black and Malachi Black. Okay, great. And then, but see, all right, the Lucha Bros and Cody make the save. All 8 men fought it out in the ring, and then great ending to the match. What I'm not understanding is, all right, Andrade and Malachi Black getting together, I'm all for. Is FTR going to join them? Because they're in the Pinnacle.
Right.
So could we possibly see a rift with MJF? Or do they all join together and make a super group? Or, do Malachi Black and Andrade not need a group and they're just going to be together to take out Cody? There's a lot of questions here to be answered.
It was all like they left way too many doors.
Right. Right. But whatever it is, it seems like it all comes down to one thing: beating Cody Rhodes' ass in the middle of the ring. Because all of these guys all have that same mentality to beat Cody Rhodes up.
Yeah, because they know it's going to get him over.
Yeah. Right. The crowd's going to boo him anyway. I might as well get the match with Cody.
Right. So if they're cheering, I don't know if they're cheering for me or if it's because I'm kicking Cody's ass.
Right. Exactly. Then we get a great vignette of MJF and Darby Allin. In my opinion, the future of AEW is what is going to be in this match, and it should be a show stealer, if anything, between these two great young talents. We then are treated to the contract signing between Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. Both guys lay their claim to being AEW champion. Page says that he tried to be all that he could when he was Kenny's partner, but Kenny pushed him away. Kenny said no, he wanted to be Hangman's partner, and then Page throws a zinger at him and says, "Your last partner wasn't only your tag team partner," and that was in reference to Kota Ibushi, who was actually Kenny's boyfriend as well. I want everybody. I know Kenny Omega is bisexual, and I have no problem with that. But Hangman came off as a little homophobic with that statement.
Well, I mean, I think you could have took that one of two ways. He was either A, homophobic, or he was jealous.
Right. Either or. Either or. So
he didn't give me the attention he was giving.
right. I wanted to be your partner. No, but Kenny gets up to leave, and then Don Callis comes in dressed as a camera guy and hits and Adam over the head. Kenny then signs the contract in blood, and we go off the air. I'm hoping Don Callis is not really involved in the match at all at Full Gear, because I would like a good one-on-one match. But we both know that might not happen. What's that?
I mean, that's what everybody wants to see. They don't want to see interference and that costing one of the match or anything like that. They want to see these two men naturally just duke it out.
Right. Exactly. I give AEW though a 4 out of 5 as well. The in-ring action was fantastic, and everything that was talked about was leading towards pushing to Full Gear. When you're at one of your go home shows for your pay-per-view, that's all you should be talking about. You know?
Right.
So
did you notice though, when Omega signed the contract in blood, it almost looked like the contract in blood said ass.
Yes. He went out of his way to sign it as ugly as possible. I hope that's not his autograph, by the way. Because if I ever get a Kenny autograph and it looks like that, I'm not going to be a happy camper.
Right.
So
somebody should have sent the JSA.
Yeah, definitely. So now we're going to send it over to Mark, who's going to give us his SmackDown review. And again, I'll be here like Mark was to give you what I thought about what happened on the show as well. Mark, go ahead, take it away with SmackDown.
All right, we open SmackDown with Sonya Deville introducing the Women's Survivor Series team, which consists of Shotzi Blackheart, Natalya, Shayna Baszler, Aaliyah, and Sasha Banks. When she introduces the boss, she comes out and her and Shotzi try to get at each other, and the team keeps them apart. Naomi's music hits. She comes out and gets in Deville's face, and chaos ensues. Naomi clocks Baszler, and everyone begins brawling. That turns into a 6-woman tag that pits Natalya, Baszler, and Shotzi versus Sasha, Aaliyah, and Naomi. Sasha and Natalya start the match off with some quick back and forth. Natalya counters Aaliyah with a Michinoku driver and attempts to pin a pin of her own to no avail. Aaliyah hits Natalya with a bridge and attempts a pin that's broken up by Baszler, who then is taken out of the ring by Sasha Banks. Shotzi tries to jump Sasha from behind, and Banks counters and throws her out the ring. Sasha steps to the apron and hits Baszler with a Meteora. Naomi hits Blackheart with a rear view outside of the ring, and Naomi tries to enter the ring and is met with a drop kick by Natalya. Aaliyah then attempts a sunset flip on Natalya, and Natty reverses it into a sharpshooter. Natalya grabs the rope for extra leverage, and Naomi thrusts her neck onto the rope, which allows Aaliyah to counter into a roll-up and pick up the victory. I give this match a 3.5 out of 5 because in the business, this is what we call a curtain jerk, and you always want to have a good, solid opener. Me showcasing the top women talent on SmackDown was a good decision, and I was very entertained in the exchange.
I agree with you on the women's opening match. I like the storyline being started with Shotzi and Sasha Banks. Aliyah or Aaliyah, I always pronounce her name wrong. Great young talent just coming into SmackDown. And I think they did well promoting her as well as the rest of the women on the Survivor Series team.
Yeah, and it was her debut, and I mean, having her pick up the win.
Oh, definitely doesn't hurt.
Right. Next, Sami Zayn is seen backstage practicing a speech for his Survivor Series team, and Jeff Hardy is seen hanging out listening to him. Sami asks him what he thinks, and Hardy tells him that it sucks real bad.
Yes.
That's followed by Aaliyah being seen backstage, ecstatic about winning her debut match on SmackDown. Sonya Deville then interrupts and states that she's been advised that Aaliyah is no longer on the SmackDown Survivor Series team.
Now, who advised her that?
Made no sense. Yeah, you heard that right.
Who advised her that, though?
I know. It was never stated. It was just, she just, I've just been advised that you're no longer on the SmackDown.
I mean, I understand if she would have said, look, we talked to Vince and Vince doesn't, you know what I mean? But like, it made no sense. You're taking.
She gave no clarification.
Right. And are they adding Naomi to the match? Or they left a big hole on who's taking over her spot.
And cliffhanger.
Right.
That's what you get.
Right.
Which, I mean, makes no sense, but next we got Caleb Braxton trying to interview Roman Reigns. He defers to Paul Heyman to speak on his behalf. Paul sets a promo announcing the stakes for Xavier Woods versus Roman Reigns. The loser will bend the knee to the winner, blah, 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 same kind of shit as before. And that transitions into another guitar riff from Rick Boogs.
The guy who killed Elias.
Yeah, he made Elias look watered down as hell.
Let's see. Do we want a folk singer with an acoustic guitar or a guy pretending to play an electric guitar? Yeah, we're gonna go with Rick Boogs. Sorry, Elias.
Well, Rick Boogs introduces his partner, the King of Strong Style, Shinsuke Nakamura. Their opponents for the night, Los Lotharios, and they make their entrance.
Wait a minute, you mean that wasn't Primo and Epico Cologne? No? Because that's what they remind me of.
In a sense, yeah, I definitely see that. But we have ourselves a tag team match underway with Boogs and Humberto Carrillo starting things off. Nakamura sets up for the Kinshasa, and Carrillo and Garza snatches him out the ring after he has taken out Boogs on the outside of the ring. Los Lotharios uses underhand tactics and double teams Nakamura, allowing Garza to pin Nakamura to give the up-and-coming team the win. My rating for this match was 3 out of 5, only because I wanted to see Nakamura and Boogs take the W, but in the realm of things, I get why Los Lotharios winning was the right move because it gives them the heat with the crowd. There was great athleticism displayed, and it kept me wanting more.
And I gotta be honest with you here. Their finisher was badass. It reminded me of Total Elimination, and I know I made the joke that they remind me of Epico and Primo, but that's just because they're two guys that they threw together. But Angel Garza can go in the ring, and Humberto Carrillo isn't no slouch either, so I don't mind them winning here.
Right, and I see where they're going with them, basically making them SmackDown's new heel tag team.
Right.
And it works, but no matter what, if they're up against Nakamura and Boogs, you want to see Nakamura and Boogs win.
Oh, of course. But
they have that charisma that you just want to see them succeed.
I agree with you, but here's the thing: Nakamura has been like on a 20 match win streak, and he and Boogs have beaten everybody from Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss, and they've been beat. They beat Apollo and his heavy. You know what I mean? So seeing the new kids in town beat him, it doesn't hurt Nakamura because he didn't lose the Intercontinental title, and
Right.
it doesn't hurt Rick Boogs either because he's really not
He wasn't the one that got pinned.
right, right. So
Next up, we're taken to the GM office where Adam Pearce asked Sonya why she took the lead off the team. Her response was simply to make the team stronger, and that she strongly suggests he does the same and exits the ring. Sami Zayn comes in complaining about Jeff Hardy to Adam Pearce, and Pearce then sets up a match between Zayn and Hardy where the loser is removed from the men's Survivor Series team.
But who was next to Adam Pearce while this was happening?
I don't know who that is.
That was Von Wagner from NXT.
Gotcha.
The guy that has been teaming with Kyle O'Reilly. So my figuration is now that we're going to get to what happens in the Jeff Hardy versus Sami Zayn match, one of those two won't be on the Survivor Series team anymore. They're going to put Von Wagner in whoever isn't on the team anyore's place. And I'm thinking, and I'm sorry to take over here for a second, Von Wagner is the son of Wayne Bloom. Remember the guy from the Beverly Brothers?
Yep.
Okay, that's his dad. So I think they're hoping that Von Wagner is going to pull a Rock and have a great Survivor Series. And you know what I mean? Maybe be their new electrifying superstar. I don't personally see it, but I think that's what they're leaning towards.
Well, I mean, but in the sense of that, The Rock was, he had that natural.
Well, right, right, but
we don't know a whole hell of a lot about Von.
Well, we didn't really know that much about The Rock either, except for he was Peter Maivia's grandson and Rocky Johnson's son. And I'm sorry to say this to the listeners. If anybody gets angry with me, please, I'm sorry. Peter Maivia never really had a big career in the WWF, and neither did Rocky Johnson. One was a tag team champion, and Peter was, a part of the company, but didn't really have a break-off move, So The Rock doing what he did was going above and beyond what his father and grandfather did. Von Wagner's dad was one of the Beverly Brothers. So again, it being that 25 years of The Rock debuting, they might be looking to do the same thing here. I don't know. You never can tell.
Yeah, I mean, it would line up with somewhere near Vince's train of thought.
Right. So.
Well, next we hear the Queen's music, and she makes her way to the ring. She proceeds to cut a promo on Becky Lynch and is interrupted by Toni Storm. Storm challenges Charlotte to a title match, and Charlotte declines.
Yep. She said no way.
That is followed by a backstage interview from King Woods, and he vows to beat Roman in the name of King Woods.
I'm really starting not to like Xavier Woods, but that's just me. I don't know.
Well, to me, it didn't make no sense. Take the crown from Nakamura. I understand they were having the King of the Ring, but take the crown from Nakamura, put it on Woods, and now him and the head of the table is having a feud.
Right, and it's not for the title.
I'm glad Xavier's getting his push. Don't get me wrong, but
you remember when Brock Lesnar won the King of the Ring? Remember, it was decreed that whoever won the King of the Ring got a title shot?
Yep.
Why didn't that happen with this King of the Ring? Why is he getting a non-title match against Roman Reigns?
Right. It's like they're doing it reverse.
Right.
Okay, well, you don't get a title shot. You just get put in a program with the champion.
Well, when your partner gets beat up. Poor Kofi. Right. Poor Kofi. You got destroyed for no reason.
After that, Jeff Hardy makes his way to the ring for his match against Sami Zayn. Zayn tries a dirty pin on Jeff, but the ref can't. Zayn's caught slipping by arguing with the ref. He turns around into the twist fate, and Hardy goes up top and delivers a swanton bomb to put the nail in the coffin and take the W in turn. He remains on the Survivor Series team, and Sami Zayn is now removed. I gave that match a 2.5 out of 5 simply because there was nothing spectacular done here, and it felt sort of lackluster.
I agree. Jeff Hardy is in the twilight of his career, and the constant pushes that he gets makes no sense. He should be being used to put younger talent over. And Sami Zayn, this character is burnt out now, where everything is a conspiracy. We either need to get back the old Sami Zayn, the fun-loving, happy-go-lucky guy, or he needs to try something different and maybe build a militia around him, like he was doing with Cesaro and Nakamura.
Right. Or to me, he, instead of thinking everything's a conspiracy theory, he's just filled with so much rage that he just loses it and kicks everybody's ass.
Right. I mean, it's not. It hasn't led to a push for him. This whole he was the Intercontinental Champion, and then he got sick and he couldn't be there. He refused to fight while COVID was going on, which I understand that was his right. He refused to travel. And then they took the belt off of him, and then they did the whole, okay, I'm champion, you're champion, we're champion storyline. But what's he done since then? And now you took him off Survivor Series.
Nothing noteworthy.
Yeah, and now he's off Survivor Series, which again makes no sense. And if it's to put Von Wagner on the team and do what I just said, I would have rather had Sami Zayn on the team.
Right. At least he's established.
Right. So.
Next up, we have a promo from Hit Row, and they freestyle about how they're the next ones up. That's preluded by Jinder Mahal and Shanky and their Middle Eastern attempt at a parody of Hit Row.
Ice Shanky.
Jinder closes out. Do what?
Ice Shanky.
Yeah, and Jinder closes out calling them Prince Row. But I was more disturbed by that dance and an attempt at a rap.
Right.
Jinder and Shanky.
Right.
I was literally like dumbfounded, like, what the hell was that?
Look, when Hit Row first debuted in NXT, I called them the Create a Wrestler Crew because they looked like 4 guys you'd put on WWE SmackDown versus Raw. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then they actually started wrestling. Top Dollar actually for a big man could move. And Isaiah Swerve Scott, that dude's a badass. If anybody ever watched his matches in Lucha Underground or on the Indies, man, that dude can go. And I know a little bit about Ashanti Adonis, but from what I've seen, he can wrestle too. So they're not bad. But you're putting them in a feud with Jinder Mahal and Shanky, and then you left Jinder's other guy on Raw, which would have helped it to at least be a 6-man feud.
The only thing that could have made this make even more sense is if they would have rapped in their native language.
Which I think Shanky was. I couldn't understand what he was saying. So, and then on top of all that, you released B-Fab, the girl that was with Hit Row, and she was eye candy for them. She may not have been able to wrestle, but she was good looking. She actually could sing.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and if nothing else, she was a great mouthpiece.
Right. You didn't have to let her wrestle anymore. She had a bad match on NXT. Okay, no big deal. Don't let her wrestle.
Right. Just let her cut the promo.
Right. But, I mean, I don't know. That was weird altogether.
And once again, we're teased with the debut of Xia Li.
Yes.
Then Caleb Braxton interviews Ridge Holland. He states again that Sheamus is his idol and explains that Sheamus was his inspiration, and Cesaro interrupts him, warns him against seeking out Sheamus' attention, and Ridge Holland informs him that Sheamus will be returning next week.
You get the feeling that Sheamus with his little pork pie hat that he wears and Ridge Holland with his and that club that he wears, they're going to be like these Irish hoodlums. That's going to be the storyline.
Or some gangs of New York.
Yeah. And of course, the first guy they're going to beat the crap out of is Cesaro. So, poor Cesaro.
But, yeah, poor Cesaro. He gets a push and then goes right back down the
If anybody needed to leave for AEW, it's him.
And then we're taken to the main event of the evening, Roman Reigns versus King Woods. Some good back and forth between Reigns and Woods. Roman attempts to put Woods through the announcement, but evidently it wasn't gimmicked enough. Woods hits a coast-to-coast elbow drop and then pins Roman, and the Usos appeared and drove Woods out and assaulted him with steel steps, costing Roman the match via disqualification. Roman takes a knee in the center of the ring, and the Usos steal Woods' crown and place it atop the already swollen head of Reigns. They hold up one finger, and SmackDown goes off the air. I give this match a 2 out of 5, and the only reason it gets that is because of Woods' valiant effort and athleticism. In my opinion, they took the crown from Shinsuke Nakamura
Right.
to do the whole King of the Ring, and then recycled the whole Corbin and Nakamura storyline with a few twists.
Right.
For fuck's sake, give Corbin his crown back.
Right.
It would be more entertaining than having Roman and the Bloodline snag it from Woods. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy seeing Woods get a push, but Roman being shoved down our throats week after week, I feel has ran its course, and it's time for something different. Overall, I give SmackDown a 2.5 out of 5. Had it not been for the way the main event went, it may have been higher. But once again, WWE dropped the ball with a pivotal moment for Woods' push, in the words of the great Peter Griffin and Archie Mitchell, that really grinds my gears.
I like it. I do agree with you. I got this strange feeling that Roman may destroy the crown next week, and Woods is probably going to get something new because, every king gets a different crown than the one they actually give them.
Right.
And if this is going to lead to Xavier Woods actually having a world title match against Roman Reigns, I'm okay with that. Xavier Woods deserves a push. The other members of New Day got one. Why can't he? I don't think he should be the champion, but it just seems to me that they ran out of wrestlers for Roman to feud with, and then after the whole shuffle with the draft and the lottery and everything, it was like, okay, we have nobody, and Xavier Woods is the king of the ring. Yeah, just put him with Woods. Okay, Woods will work, And Xavier Woods gushing because he hasn't had that push was like, yes, give it to me. I'll take it.
But on a positive note, Woods winning via disqualification has now broken Roman's win streak.
Exactly. It was like 958 days or something.
Something of
Jesus.
that nature. I want to say like 948 or something.
Yeah, like Jesus, you let that guy win for 3 years straight?
It's like, do you not have anybody else in this company that you can think that would legitimately be a threat to Roman Reigns?
But here's the thing too. You let Xavier Woods win a non-title match by disqualification. Nobody else could have beaten him by DQ or count out in the last 3 years. He had to go on a 958-day winning streak. Like Jesus.
There's no logic to it.
So, well.
I mean, other than the fact that he's Anna Wyatt and Vince has a real magnetic relationship.
And I get that, but I mean, The Rock lost sometimes too, and he don't get more. He don't get more than the biggest name out of the Samoan tribe than The Rock. So,
right.
But all right,
maybe they're trying to get him to surpass The Rock.
Maybe. He's at least surpassing Cena. I know that much. Moving on to AEW Rampage, our final show of the evening. We once again start Rampage off by going to the ring for our opening matchup. Jungle Boy taking on Bobby Fish. I thought this should have been the main event, but I won't bicker. Jungle Boy starts off quick with right hands and kicks, but Fish turns it around and goes to the ground. Almost a botch on the ropes, but Jungle Boy recovers and delivers a nice arm drag. Fish finally grounds Jungle Boy, but a belly-to-belly in the corner and a German gets Jungle Boy a 2 count. Fish looked for his standing kicks, but Jungle caught the kick in the air and put on the snare trap, delivered elbows to the head, knocking Bobby Fish out, and gets the win in 12 minutes. Great way to make the youngster look good in this matchup and give him momentum going into full gear, in my opinion.
And I agree. I was very pleased with the fact that just because it's the WWE
Right. Right. I agree.
And to me, that was a smart move because you have this homegrown talent in Jungle Boy, and the fans love him.
Oh,
Like
definitely.
every time you hear that music, you're like, hell yeah.
Oh yeah. I sing along to it. I like it. You know.
Oh yeah, we did.
Post match, Adam Cole attacks, and he and Fish try to take out Jungle Boy. They set up for a concerto, but Christian and Luchasaurus make the save. This 6-man should be a banger at the pay per view, Mark, especially with being false count anywhere.
It'll definitely be entertaining. It'll probably be one of the most entertaining matches on the
Oh
card.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Because what was it? All or Nothing or whatever they had, where the Lucha Brothers went against Jurassic Express.
Yep.
That was the match of the night.
Oh yeah.
They stole the show for me. So anything that those guys do, they captivate the audience, and it's going to be very entertaining.
I agree. We get pre-recorded comments from Miro and Bryan Danielson before their tournament match final. Then Hangman Page catches up with the Young Bucks. He tells them he believes they're both even since he cost the Bucks a shot at the World Tag Team titles a while back, and the Bucks cost him a shot at the World title a while back also. But he says that if the Bucks try to get involved, he will ruin them. And I don't know why, Mark, but I believe him. He sounds pretty serious. You know.
Well, I mean, both of those combined don't make a hangman. That's all I'm going to
say. Right. We then go back to the ring, and it's Jade Cargill, one of the sisters of the Botch group. She's taking on Santana Garrett, and this was a 4-minute squash match. Jade cared more about Red Velvet being in the crowd, but manages to hit her finisher and get the win. We're going to notice a continuance going on here tonight with the opponents for the homegrown AEW talent. We'll get to that in a minute. But post-match, Red Velvet speared Cargill and then dumped the cake on Mark Sterling. I got a feeling that this is leading to a match that is going to end in a botch between Red Velvet and Jade Cargill in that TBS title tournament, Mark.
Quite possibly. My thing with Jade Cargill, okay, they're booking her as this, badass
Yep.
talent.
Yep.
Well, why don't you have her come in and squash your beast like Nyla or somebody?
Right.
Instead, you're squashing all these small chicks that, I understand it's good for her character, supposedly, but,
But she's been there a year already.
Right. Don't you want to be legitimized after beating
right.
the baddest bitches on the yard?
Right.
It's like you go to WrestleMania, you want to face Taker and you want to beat him.
Right. You don't want to hear that you're in the opening match with Jinder Mahal. You know what I mean?
Right.
So.
Or Shanky.
Right. But and Red Velvet to me is just like, you know what? Brandy got pregnant. We need another girl to put with Cody. She'll do. You know what I mean? It's just, and I don't know.
Forced.
Yeah, it's forced. Exactly. And both of them cannot wrestle. I'm sorry, but they have at least 4 botches a match. So that's not going to lead to a good matchup.
No, and they have so much other really good women talent.
Right.
There's no excuse as why not to use one of those.
Right. And here's the thing. Jade Cargill squashed Santana Garrett, who on the independent scene is actually a really good talent. So, okay, you squashed her against somebody decent, but like you brought Santana Garrett in. This is her 3rd match, and she's just being used as enhancement talent so far.
Right. And she's probably in the upper echelon of the talent that they have.
Right.
She could hang with the best of them.
Definitely.
She could hang with a Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa.
She was in one of the opening matches for them when they did AEW the first All In. She was in the first four-way match. It was her, Chelsea Green, what's the young lady's name? Tessa Blanchard and Britt Baker. And they had a great matchup.
Yeah.
So
she's just jobbed out to
cardio. Yeah, exactly. We then go to pre-recorded comments from CM Punk and Eddie Kingston. Punk said Eddie is not on his level, and Kingston says Punk is a faker. He said Punk is basically helping the younger guys get over now because he's trying to basically pay for his past sins. I kind of believe both of them, Mark, when I hear both of them say this. When you look at CM Punk, he's been to the top of the mountain. He's a former world champion, WrestleMania main eventer. And then Eddie Kingston saying, well, Punk's only back to help the young kids now to, be the good guy. Neither one of them are wrong.
No, I mean, they both have valid points.
So.
But I just want to see Kingston punch Punk in the mouth.
Right. And I want to see. I see. Here's my problem, Mark. I know you know this about me. You know how big of a mark I am for CM Punk, dating back to even before the pipe bomb promo. But over the last three or 4 years since Eddie Kingston debuted in the NWA with Homicide, I've grown a love for Eddie Kingston as well. So this is like watching Randy Savage versus Ric Flair for me, in a way. I'm seeing two of my favorites about to collide. I want to just see them have a fight. I don't care who wins. I just want to see the both of them have the best fight they could possibly have.
Right. It's like you got two really cool uncles and they have the barbecue.
Right.
They're fighting.
Right. So, the young man who stole the show on Dynamite is back. Dante Martin is in a match against Arya Daivari. And this is that trend I was talking about, Mark. 3 matches and 3 good people who were recently fired by the WWE taking on homegrown AEW talent. Santana Garrett, Arya Daivari, Bobby Fish. I think AEW is reaching to get every bit of talent the WWE fires. They need to stop.
Yeah. Eventually you're going to have to figure out where the hell to put them.
Right. And I know they've got like 5 hours of TV between YouTube and actual television shows, but they can't just look. If they would have been hiring people like Bray Wyatt, which they're probably going to, but if they were hiring big name stars like they did with Punk and Daniel Bryan and Adam Cole, okay, but you're hiring everybody, and like there are other companies these people could go to, and then on top of that, Ring of Honor is going out of business, so now you've got more talent that they can purge. So it's basically like releasing me in a donut shop and not telling me I have to stop. I'm gonna eat. You know what I mean? I'm gonna enjoy myself.
Right. I mean,
eventually, though, I'm gonna get sick.
Okay. I know you got to the conclusion of this match, but I like the fact that they're not letting these WWE people or any other promotion person just come in and instantly get wins.
Right.
People that they have done established as their homegrown talent.
Right.
And to me, you brought up Bray Wyatt and stuff like that.
Right.
I'm starting to wonder what if it's just a word?
Right. What if Wyatt's going back to the WWE? Right.
Right. And they're doing the whole smoke and mirrors.
Right. You got a point there.
I mean, it's possible.
He should have, if he was going to show up anywhere, it should have been within the last 2 weeks because he was the time frame ended 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean? So, but in any case, Daivari attempted some offense and looked good in his debut, but Dante Martin once again had a great showing. Dante hit a high risk move and hit his double jump moonsault, got the win in 5 minutes. In my opinion, Dante Martin has become a great match machine. This kid cannot have a bad outing against whoever. No, I don't want to jinx him. I wish him all the luck and all the greatest possible success. But I mean, we've seen him against veterans, we've seen him against newcomers, and we've seen him against middle of the ground, middle of the road guys. This kid can't be stopped.
Yeah, I mean, he has impressive outings, and as far as the athleticism and technical in-ring know-how, he seems to have it down pat.
Definitely.
And he has a bright future ahead of him if he can keep that.
And I hate to say this, but I'm going to liken him to Booker T a little bit. You remember when Stevie Ray got injured and Booker T went out on his own and became a single star?
Yep.
Dante Martin's brother got injured like 2 months ago with an ACL tear, and when that guy comes back, I don't think Dante's going to be waiting to reform a tag team. You know, what I mean? She'll be like, "Look,
Right.
dude, I'm a made man now. I don't think we could team, but we're not going for the tag titles. I'm looking to get that TNT belt or the world title.
Right.
You know, but
but wasn't he offered
post
a
match,
contract with? Yeah.
Ricky Starks offers Dante Martin the chance to join Team Taz. Kid looks confused, but we will have to wait and see how this plays out. Leo Rush was at home. They lost his grandmother this last couple of days in between Dynamite and Rampage. We wish Leo Rush all the best for his family. So they're kind of playing on, if Leo isn't around, is Dante Martin easily persuaded to join another team? We saw Dante leave Matt Sydal to go to Leo Rush. So could it also happen by him joining Team Taz?
Well, I hope he sticks with Leo.
I agree.
If the pattern persists where Leo just keeps getting shitted on.
Yeah. No, they don't need to. I'll be honest though, whether he joins Team Taz or not, I'm worried about them putting him in a match with Powerhouse Hobbs. Hobbs is a great talent, very powerful. His name says it all. But I think that if they do that, then we're looking at Dante Martin getting squashed. You know what I mean? If they're going to give him a match with Ricky Starks, he could share the ring with Ricky Starks. And even if he loses, it doesn't hurt him because he's losing to a guy that actually is at the same level as him. So, no biggie.
Right.
So, I hope that if they're.
That would actually be an interesting match to see.
Definitely. We ain't seeing Ricky wrestle that much. I'm wondering if he's injured or something. You know,
there's got to be a reason why.
So, and then we hear from Taz and JR about the up and coming women's championship match at Full Gear. JR thinks that Britt Baker will remain the champion, but Taz thinks that Taya Conte is just too much for the Good Doctor. Honestly, I could see them going either way, but I like Britt Baker as the champion. I think that she is right when she says she's the face of the division. You know, between her, Thunder Rosa, I hate to admit it, but Nyla Rose, because she is a former champion, that's their division right there. Those 3-4 women are the brunt of their division. So with Britt as the champion, I think they're full steam ahead.
I mean, but who's to say that Taya Conte ain't the next big thing?
Oh no, I agree. I mean,
I'm not doubting your opinion or anything.
No, I know that.
It might be a breath of fresh air.
It could be
for the fans to see someone other than Britt with that belt.
It could be, but Britt is still getting a crazy reaction, though. Mark, that's the whole thing. Heel or face, she's getting a pop from that crowd. So
and that comes from being a good wrestler and
a fighting champion, right? Mark Henry then does his split screen interview with Matt Hardy and Orange Cassidy. Hardy calls Orange Cassidy Pockets, which is a little nod to Jim Cornette, and says that he should not be in his business. Cassidy finally speaks up and says he's tired of this and it's been going on forever. Tonight it ends. Now, I agree with Orange Cassidy. This feud feels like it's been going on forever.
Like you said earlier, it's still going on.
Right. I mean, I still don't know what they're feuding over. Matt Hardy feels that Orange Cassidy is better than him, but, he's not because he's Matt Hardy. It's like, okay, we get it. You're Matt Hardy. Without your brother, you're just Matt Hardy. We get it. You're waiting for Jeff to leave the WWF, to leave WWE, and come make the Hardy Boys in AEW one more time.
Yeah, and he called Cassidy Pockets, but he also called Hardy's little faction the Hardy Boy.
Yep. So it is main event time, and I have a wall of text written out about this, but we're gonna condense that a bit. Here's why. A lot of this match was comedy and not very good comedy. For instance, the start of the match, Matt Hardy yells out, that if the Lumberjacks take out the best friends, he will give one of them $1,000. This happens, and then we go to Cassidy and Hardy going back and forth. Um, Hardy throws Cassidy outside of the ring multiple times, to which the Lumberjacks beat the crap out of Orange Cassidy. Hardy continues to work on the ribs. He hits a side effect for 2. In come House Hardy. They battle in the ring with the best friends. Cassidy hits a bunch of Superman punches. And then Blade. Right. And then the Blade comes in and hits Cassidy with some brass knuckles, and Hardy gets the win in 13 minutes. Like I said, this was way too much comedy, way too much going on. If this was how they were going to end the feud, really bad way to end it, because you left a lot of things open now. But if this feud is going to continue, Lord help me. I can't deal with it. I don't hate Orange Cassidy. I'm not a big, I'm not a big supporter, but I don't find anything he does bad. I am, however, a hater of Matt Hardy. So it's just the way I am. I don't like him.
I feel like the opener and the main event should have been switched.
Big time. Or at least put the Lumberjack match in at second and do the Jade Cargill match first. Yeah, you know what I mean? Something like that. But if in any of the case, this was not the best main event Rampage has seen. And for that, I give this show a 3.5, 3 out of 5 in the ratings. Not bad, but not the best, like I said, that we've seen from Rampage and what they've done.
I agree.
It was almost the way that they had the matches set up. It felt like an episode of Sunday Night Heat. So,
yeah, or a shitty Velocity.
Right, exactly.
Before we get into your other segment, I want to ask your opinion on something.
You can ask me your opinion, but I have a little bit of bad news, because we had so much to write tonight and talk about. Unfortunately, there is nothing that grinds my gears, because we got it all off our chest in talking about 5 shows. So,
right,
so go ahead.
Close out with this, then.
Yes.
The whole Daniel Bryan and Miro thing.
Yes.
If you're Tony Khan, who do you book to win that?
Well, I don't like Miro. I liked him as Rusev, but Miro is just a weird character, and I know it's just him being himself. But the whole I'm God's favorite champion, and now he's acting like God forsaked him and he's got to make it up to him or whatever. I don't like where they're going with this character. I wish they would have brought Lana in like 3 months ago and let her be the mouthpiece. You know what I mean? If it's me,
I agree.
If it's me, I give it to Daniel Bryan. And it's not because, well, you signed such a big name, you gotta let him. He's worth it. We know that if Daniel Bryan, is given a world title match, number one, he doesn't care if he's the world heavyweight champion or not. He just likes to be booked high on the card so that he can make whoever he's fighting look good. He's making every opponent he's beaten so far look fantastic. He made Kenny Omega look like the best thing going today in that 30-minute draw they had. So if you put Daniel Bryan against Kenny Omega again, or Adam Page, whoever wins the world heavyweight title, they're going to have an incredible 30 to 40-minute match. So whether Bryan wins the title or not, it's still going to make your champion credible. So I would put it on Daniel Bryan, because with Miro, you've built him up like this character who really can't be beaten, and when he is beaten, then he bitches. So it's really not going to matter whether he wins or not, because he's still going to be bitching at the end of the day anyway.
Right.
So I'd go with Bryan Danielson. What about you?
I would like to see Bryan Danielson win it, but for some reason, my gut tells me that Miro's going to get it to replace his TNT championship.
Right.
That to me, it seems like that's a predictable card falling away.
True. But
and Daniel Bryan said he wanted to give back and basically put the next generation over. So
I agree with you on that one.
That might be his way of
the only problem I have, what if they give the belt to Miro, give the win to Miro here, is that then you're almost guaranteeing a Hangman win, because I don't foresee Miro fighting Kenny Omega, because I don't think they're going to put two full blown heels against each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you never know. I mean, wrestling has done it before. It's not against the rules, so you know.
There's rules.
Sometimes there is, like you ever notice they disqualify a wrestler for breaking up his tag team partner's pin sometimes because he hit his opponent? Did you know that was a rule? I'm not even joking. There's a rule in the books.
They have wild. They have wild rules. Like, you know, that the rope for that tag in a tag team match has to be a certain length.
Yep. All right.
Or they can get disqualified for that.
I'm gonna make you laugh about this. I'm watching an episode of WCW from 1999 one night, because we were getting ready to do We Can't Wrestle podcast with Nate Maxon, and we were watching the show. And I forgot who it was, throws his opponent over the top rope. Scott Hudson, who was one of the commentators, says that should be an immediate disqualification. Now, of course, WCW, when Bill Watts was there, had a rule that you couldn't throw your opponent over the top rope, right?
Right.
So when Watts left, nobody took that rule out. So that rule actually still stayed in till the day WCW died. So Scott Hudson says that should be an immediate disqualification. That's against the rules. And Tony Schiavone, like if he didn't know he had a live mic, turns to Scott Hudson and says, "No, we're not doing that tonight." And I started laughing, and I went, "Wow, he just broke kayfabe because Scott Hudson was trying to be as by the book as possible, and he had to shut him down and let him know, no, Scott, that's not a rule tonight. We'll do that next week." You know? So yes, there are rules to wrestling. So again, I apologize for there being no grinds my gears this evening. I'll have a good one next week, I promise. I may even, if Mark joins me again, I may even have Mark do one as well. But next week, I will be reviewing. And Mark, if you'll join me again, I enjoyed having you tonight. You are more than welcome here anytime you want. Next week, I will be reviewing. I will be reviewing AEW Full Gear in its entirety, the entire show. We will not be looking at Raw, SmackDown, NXT, or AEW, just the pay-per-view of Full Gear. So, with that being said, Mark, thank you for being here. Do you have any parting words for the fans at home?
Yeah. Subscribe, follow, all that good shit. Spotify. Do you smell what the art is cooking?
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Guys, Mark is a fantastic customizer. He makes card backs, boxes, figures, and sometimes clothing if you could talk him into it for your action figures. So if you want to get one, hit him up, Mark Brew on Facebook. I've got a few in my collection of his. He's got a few of mine in his. One of my best buddies, guys. I can't say enough good things about this guy. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next week on If You Smell What the Arch Is Cooking. Good night, everybody.